pressuring the quarterback, and we're not even sure who that's going to be today for McDonough, whether it's going to be DeJuan Ellis or Nathan Walsh. But obviously containing the quarterback and getting pressure is going to be a huge key here today for Gilman.
And Jack, of course, we know that both Walsh and DeJuan Ellis are both very capable quarterbacks. They're both great athletes. Talk to me about the strengths of each of them.
Yeah, well, I can confirm, talking to the team earlier today, that DeJuan Ellis is scheduled to start for today's game. He definitely is more of a running quarterback, can do it with his arm and with his legs, whereas Nathan Walsh looks to air the ball deep more often. So that's kind of the contrast that you get with our two quarterbacks, but both, again, very capable in the pocket.
Is there any chance that McDonough would go with a tandem, or is it definitely going to be Ellis 100%? Have they ever done that before?
Yeah, if DeJuan is healthy, it's DeJuan, but there's those shoulder problems sometimes that they can reappear during the game. He gets hit a couple times, he gets hit going out of bounds, something is flaming up, they might put Nathan Walsh back in, but I would doubt that they would have a change of pace quarterback in that kind of situation. It would only be whether one is struggling health-wise.
And on the note of quarterbacks, talk to me a little bit about Pernell Hill and what he does best on the football field. I am familiar a little bit with him from last year, but I'd love to know a little bit more about what he's done so far this year.
Yeah, so Pernell, obviously, your classic dual threat quarterback, just as good with his legs as he is with his arm, but he's gotten a lot better throughout the course of the year at standing in the pocket and delivering the ball. We've seen him hook up with Piper Bond, 9-10 times in a game in these past couple of games, so he's gotten a lot better at finding his receivers and locating them. But obviously that running ability is his most important feature. As we saw against Archbishop Spalding, he had a 71-yard touchdown run. So he's got speed, he's got power, and they like to use him down by the goal line as their goal line back on a quarterback sneak type of situation. So obviously Pernell Hill, a do-it-all quarterback who's a vital part of this Gilman offense.
And please go ahead. Absolutely.
I would definitely say that Hill and that running ability is something that McDonough's been focusing on in practice, and something that they're going to work their best to stop. And their two edge rushers are some of the best for the team on that linebacking side. So we will look for them to dial up some blitzes, look for some pressure, and avoid big gains on that run attack.
And we know that last week Gilman lost by a score of 76-58. Tell us a little bit about what this defense needs to do, in your opinion, to correct some of those errors that were allowing Spalding to score so much.
Yeah, so what we saw was Gilman was really stacking the box a lot against that Spalding rushing attack, and they were just beating him with big plays over the top. So it's going to be key for these Gilman, especially the defensive line, to contain and also pressure up the middle so that the secondary doesn't have to come in and McDonough can beat him over the top. So winning those individual battles, especially on the defensive line, is going to be really crucial here today for Gilman.
Absolutely. And for this McDonough team on defense, what do you think they need to do to contain this Gilman attack that comes with Pernell Hill in the pocket, who can both run and throw the ball very well?
Well, it's going to start with that offensive or defensive line and containing the rush, but it's also going to really focus on that secondary. Darius Pickett recently decommitted and is now going to Villanova. He's a big part of that safety group, and he will be a threat over the middle, kind of a ball hawk type of safety, sort of an Ed Reed for Ravens fans in this defense. So he will be looking to stop that aerial attack, one that absolutely got going last week for that 58 points, and that will be a key for the Eagles. If he can get going, as well as B.J. Farrar, who looks to return from injury this week and play the cornerback as well as wide receiver position.
Yes, of course, we remember B.J. Farrar, a very versatile player we've seen in all these games, make huge plays against Gilman. And Hap, I want to talk to you for a moment about the emotion in this game, because last year we saw Gilman really struggle on the football field throughout the entire year. This year they've gotten a little bit better, they're improving their game a little bit. How does emotion, the fact that Gilman is in playoff contention, key into this game today for the Greyhounds?
I think it's huge, Julian. Last year, obviously, Gilman struggling, going 1-5 in conference. This year, though, right in the thick of the playoff hunt, they win this game, they get to 3-3, and with a chance to make the playoffs potentially. So that's obviously a huge boost to the team's spirits. In a rivalry game like this, you usually don't need much motivation, but I think just that extra boost, can definitely help a team, and Gilman certainly has that here today.
And the last time that we had a Gilman McDonough game here on this field, Gilman won in victorious fashion. Well, of course in victorious fashion, but in miraculous fashion, a very close game that came down to the wire. Jack, is there any feeling that McDonough has to get back at Gilman now that we're back on McDonough turf? Is there any thought of that game still in the minds of the McDonough players, or have they moved on?
Well, I think it's always that mentality that you got to get back to them, whether you've won the last year, whether you won the last 2 years, 3 years. It's always a rivalry game. It's always up there. You want to beat them, especially in front of your home fans, and especially now that we have the playoff implications that we have this year with the winner going to the 4-team playoff. And that's it's a fantastic element that gets added onto this game that's already got such big stakes, being a rivalry game, being so historic that 102 years, stoplights, stop signs were just being implemented in Baltimore the first time that this game was played. So certainly a lot of history in there and just bigger stakes now that those playoffs have been implemented.
And we've got about 2.5 minutes until kickoff. So Hap, talk to us a little bit about what's going on with the volleyball team on Greyhound TV here tonight in the championship game.
Yeah, so a huge day for Gilman sports as the Gilman volleyball team is in the championship today, the MIAA A-Conference Championship against Mount St. Joe, and that's going to start at 6 o'clock down at St. Paul's, and we will have that game for you here on GTV. So I believe this is the first simultaneous broadcast in at least GTV history.
Yep.
So hopefully there's no technical difficulties, but obviously, a difficult day for GTV and also a difficult day for the Gilman student section, as some seniors especially really torn as to whether to attend this game or the volleyball game, obviously with friends on both. The consensus seems to be that most of the seniors will start at this game, and then some may leave to go to the volleyball game and try to come back. But that's going to be something to watch definitely, as usually we've got 2 full student sections, but Gilman may have some difficulties with that here today.
And we have the coin toss about to commence here at midfield. And right before we get underway here, Jack, talk to me about P.J. Mustafer. We know that there was an article in the Baltimore Sun that came out just recently about him. Committed to Penn State. How much of a big factor is he for this McDonough team in winning this game?
Well, he's certainly the leader of this defense. As you saw in that article, he interviewed himself.
Yeah.
That's the kind of big personality that he is. I have argumentation and advocacy with him, and he really needs no teaching in that subject, but he is there, and he's such a presence on the field, and he will certainly help with the run. Also a fantastic offensive lineman, so that just big presence up the middle on both sides of the ball is going to be a trouble for Gilman to overcome with double teams, with stunts, and he's certainly one of those guys in a defense and an offense that you have to game plan around.
Right, of course, a physical presence and an emotional presence, just a leader in every single way on the football field. It's great when those players come around, and I cannot wait to see him here today. Hap and I haven't seen McDonough so far this year. You've seen plenty of McDonough, and of course, Hap's seen plenty of Gilman. I've seen as much as I can, so we both bring our individual insights into this game, and it'll be really nice having everybody here in the booth. So let's get this underway in just about 30 seconds. We have the 2 teams handshaking here at the 50-yard line. And I'd like to welcome all of you to this broadcast, whether you're a Greyhounds fan or a McDonough Eagles fan. We are glad to have you along board, for what should be a very, very fun game, the 102nd annual Gilman McDonough game. Hap, these games are always special.
They really are. It's just great to see both these communities come together with the Spirit Weeks building up to it, and then the game, everyone seeing old friends, alumni coming back. It's just a terrific atmosphere, and should be a great football game here today.
And the Eagles wearing their home orange uniforms. We've seen those pretty infrequently. The one thing with the Eagles that has been this year is they've only played 4 home games in and out of conference. They spent most of the season on the road, including a 5-game road stretch. So it's interesting to see that and how that played out during the season.
So we've got both teams back on their respective sidelines, getting ready to kick this ball off, as the student sections will start to fill in. The McDonough one on the near side, closest to us, is already pretty filled in there. They've got a number of students packed into that bottom left corner from our vantage point. And we will get set for the national anthem, which will begin in just a few moments, and we will step aside.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take off your hats and stand for the national anthem.
And we are officially ready to begin the 102nd annual Gilman McDonough game. Gilman will receive the ball first, and McDonough will kick off.
And Grayson Lawrence, the Eagles kicker for today's kickoff, ran down, was collided with a Gilman player, and was actually suffered concussion that was for the end of the game. So certainly some jitters, some excitement on that first play that can lead to some mistakes.
So Pernell Hill will begin this game under center with a back behind him, and Piper Bond, the receiver on the near side, man in motion. And they're going to hand this ball off on the end around to Brandon Willis, and Willis will be taken down. Looks like a short gain, if any, perhaps just around the line of scrimmage. It'll be 2nd down and 9 or 10.
And Gilman likes to go to that jet sweep play, especially early in the game to set the tone. Right there, McDonough doing a nice job of getting contained and making sure Brandon Willis didn't get much.
Yeah, on the stop, Greg Penn, the freshman, received his first offer from Temple earlier this week.
Lined up in the shotgun with trips out to his right. They look back to the sideline to confirm the play. And it looks like we're going to have a penalty here, either offsides or false start. We'll see which one they call. It's going to be a false start on Gilman. It will back them up 5 yards, and 2nd down and long will be coming up for the Greyhounds.
Penalties could be a story here today, as Gilman has struggled all year with especially false start penalties. Right there, it looked like half the line went and the other half didn't, so Pernell Hill needs to do a better job perhaps of getting the snap count in.
Hill takes the snap and immediately rolls to the far side, throws on the run, and this ball is completed down across the 30-yard line, and he gets down across the 40. He's got a 1st down for Gilman.
Hill's pass is complete to the 43-yard.
And that was Brandon Madison on the reception.
Madison coming out of the backfield there to make that play. He's showcased his ability to catch the ball this year. When he first started with the team, he was more of a runner, but now he's developed that ability to catch out of the backfield, and right there, getting a 2nd and 15 into a 1st and 10.
Here's the handoff up the middle to Brandon Madison, and he will be swarmed in the backfield by a number of orange jerseys. It'll be 2nd down and long for Gilman.
And Jackson Bonnets, that middle linebacker for the Eagles, has been one of the most electrifying players for McDonough this season, with some big hits on that defensive side as another big stop there. They love that middle linebacker blitz to get to the quarterback, both disrupting the passing lanes and running the ball up the middle.
Schloter and Willis line up at the near side as the receivers. And Pernell Hill's going to throw, and it's completed to Piper Bond over the middle of the field. He reached for the 1st down, but it looks like he'll be a yard short, so 3rd down and short coming up for the Greyhounds into McDonough territory.
Run-pass option right there for Pernell Hill. Decided to throw the ball after the defense converged, and it looks like they're going to go quick to the line here.
Heavy formation for Gilman. Man in motion. And they're going to look to the sideline again to confirm the call. Willis was coming around on perhaps a fake end around. And here he comes again. Low snap, Pernell picks it up, and he's going to run for it. And he will be short, so it'll be 4th down and short for the Greyhounds after what looked like a busted play.
Yeah, that looked like Pernell had a tough time getting the snap right there. Unfortunate on a 3rd and 1 play. Usually you'd see them line up under center right there, but Gilman unable to convert, and they may keep the offense on the field here to go for it on 4th.
And they will indeed do that. Pernell Hill in the shotgun with a back to his left and a back in front of him, offset to his left. And we're going to have a whistle. Timeout.
And actually, Julian, they're going to have Brandon Madison in the Wildcat there.
Oh, you're right, they did. My bad. Again, tough to tell with these numbers and the combination with the white jerseys, but thank you, Hap. And it looks like we have a 1st down. Indeed, we do have a 1st down.
Yep, that was an offsides call against McDonough,
yes.
So the Eagles giving the Hounds a 1st down there without even having to run a play. So a big break right there for Gilman as they get a 1st and 10 in McDonough territory.
So the drive continues for Gilman. 1st down and 10 after the penalty from the Eagles. And Hill in the shotgun. Hill will hand the ball off to Brandon Madison, and Madison powering forward. He is close to the 1st down marker. He may have it, or perhaps just a little bit short.
Brandon Madison, unquestionably the best player on this Gilman offense, so explosive in the open field. We've seen him break huge runs all year long, and right there, getting out to the edge, picking up a nice gain on 1st down.
2 backs in the backfield with Pernell Hill, Piper Bond on the near side, And they're going to hand this ball off to Brandon Willis. Willis pitches it back here, hands it back, and now Piper Bond's going to throw downfield, and he's got a man open, and he dives into the end zone, and it's a touchdown for Gilman off the throw from Piper Bond.
And right there, just going to the trick play early in the game, Coach Tim Holly with the double reverse, and Piper Bond, who we've seen throw the ball earlier this year, looked like Zach Dixon, who was wide open at the 10-yard line, gets into the end zone, and Gilman scores a touchdown on their first drive.
And I was really amazed, number 52, Thomas Booker, on that offensive line for the Greyhounds. Had great protection on that play to make that double reverse work. A big play for the Greyhounds.
And the extra point is up, and it is good. Gilman takes a 7-0 lead over McDonough after Piper Bond threw the ball downfield, and we've seen him do it before. He did it last year against Loyola, the play I remember very vividly. He actually did it twice in that game.
And Piper Bond, obviously a guy with so many talents, and right there showing his ability to throw the football. Interesting that Gilman went to the trick play early. All season long, head coach Tim Holly has liked to use those trick plays. We may see a Statue of Liberty run to Brandon Madison later in this game, as Gilman has run that in at least 5 or 6 times this season. So obviously using it very effectively right there, but important for Gilman to get off to an early lead.
So Gilman will kick this ball off to the Eagles, up 7-0. And they will try and protect this lead that they have early on with 8:17 to go in the first quarter.
And the returner for the Eagles is going to be Jabril Johnson, number 5, the running back, power back, and he's back to receive the kick from the Greyhounds.
Douglas Godin kicking off here for Gilman. We may see a short kick here, as Douglas sometimes likes to put it around the 30-yard line so that a big return can't come.
And this one to Jack Simmons. Simmons going to go around the outside. He'll juke a man. He's still on his feet. Now it's Giovanni Procaccini, who will spin out of a tackle, and he's down at the 40-yard line. Procaccini showing the speed, getting to the 40-yard line, but they did exactly what you said, that kick to the 30.
Yeah, Gilman's had some trouble this year containing kickoffs, especially when they kick it deep. So seeing that sort of intermediate kick from Douglas Godin is something we may see a couple of times here today.
And Gilman did a nice job of playing damage control there. He busted out of the tackle on the far side, came around the near side, almost had a lane. They did a nice job of recovering.
And DeJuan Ellis, the quarterback for the Eagles, back for the first time since St. Francis a few weeks ago. He sends a man in motion, and he fakes it to that man, goes on the option to the outside, looking to find a hole. He's going to get to the sideline, and he will walk out of bounds for about a 4-yard gain, second down.
Nice play right there from DeJuan Ellis. He had Alex Sladzinski chasing him out on the outside there, but he was able to get just to the outside of him and pick up positive yardage on first down.
And the Eagles have about 5 or 6 wide receivers that they like to go to and switch up. They're using backup quarterback Nathan Walsh right here on the outside, so look for some kind of trickery with him in at that wide receiver position. Still DeJuan Ellis down under center. He'll throw it above and out of the reach of number 19, Jack Simmons, as he just can't hold on to that one near the first down.
Yeah, right there, Jeremy Cranston in coverage for Gilman, and that ball a little bit too high for Simmons. It's going to bring up an important third down here early for McDonough.
And it's important to keep in mind it's a breezy day here at McDonough. Some of these balls may sail on the intended receivers, and that may have been what just happened.
Now the Eagles coming out with a 3 wide receiver set. 2 to his right, 1 to his left. And Ellis will take it. He's looking deep. He'll fire it over the middle to Curtis Jacobs. And that pass is tipped and incomplete, almost intercepted on the play.
Zach Dixon right there almost had that interception off the tip. But a nice job by this Gilman defense, forcing a 3-and-out on McDonough's first possession of the game.
And Dixon almost had that one. He was so close, just barely popped out of his hands and hit the turf. It was pretty clear that it did, but he was so close to the interception. A missed opportunity, but Gilman will get the ball back nevertheless.
And Lawrence will punt. And it's an end-over-end kick. Fair caught at the 26-yard line, and Gilman will have their second possession of the day.
That's Kyrie Jones with the fair catch right there. He is the usual punt returner for Gilman, so we'll see if he continues to do that throughout the day. Sometimes they will bring in Piper Bond to receive kicks.
So Pernell Hill and this Gilman offense will have another opportunity here to score again, perhaps. as they made quick work of the McDonough defense on the last drive after some trickery from Piper Bond. And Bond is lined up on the near side, as Gilman will place Pernell Hill in the shotgun, alone in the shotgun. First down and 10 to begin this drive from the 25. Madison in motion. They're going to keep this ball with Pernell Hill, who's going to run, and he is down short of the 30-yard line at the 29.
And right there, Pernell Hill keeping the ball. We'll see some read option plays in this game, and Pernell obviously not afraid to keep it, as he is quite the runner. More of a fullback type than a running back, but he can still get out in the open field and make some people miss.
That defensive line for McDonough certainly winning the size advantage, and with a beautiful gang tackle there on first down.
Hill in the shotgun. They're going to keep this ball with Pernell Hill, who's under pressure, tries to juke away from a man, throws the ball, and it's completed to Bush. And Bush on the far sideline is taken down around the 49-yard line. It's a first down for Gilman close to midfield.
And what a play right there from Pernell Hill, getting out of that sack. It looked like he was pressured by number 25, Jackson Bonnets, and Bonnets had him wrapped up, but Pernell able to shake free and find Bryce Bush for the first down.
And Bonnets is just trying to do too much on that play. He tries to grab around and strip the ball, looking for a game changer when he really just needed to set him with third down and long. Instead, first down and 10, close to the 50.
First down and 10. Pernell Hill running up the middle of the field, and he will be taken down after a gain of 2 or 3 yards on the play.
Right there, an option from Pernell Hill. Brandon Madison was out to the right if he wanted to pitch it, but they decided to make sure Madison was covered up, so Pernell kept it, picked up 3 yards.
Second down and 7 yards to gain a first down. Willis lined up on the near side as the receiver, and Pernell Hill under center. Hill back to pass, and he will immediately be taken down. The McDonough defense was not to be fooled on that play.
And Pernell Hill right there didn't get the ball on that snap. It looked like just a busted play completely, and he was fortunate there to just not turn the ball over and only take a 3-yard sack.
Yeah, Griffin Catlett on the blitz for the Eagles, showing that lacrosse speed a little bit there. Dual sport athlete for McDonough, flashing the wheels on that one.
Third down and 10. Pernell Hill lined up at the shotgun with 2 wide receivers to his right. He will take the snap and roll, throws across his body, and it's completed over towards the near hash mark. It will not be enough for the first down, as number 5, Edmonds, had the reception there, but well short of the intended line to gain.
I think that was actually number 8, Cavante Beard on the catch right there for Gilman.
Yes, it was.
They tried to set up the screen play right there, which is a play they like to go to on 3rd and long. McDonough had that read the whole way, and they will force a punt.
8-5. What's the real difference here?
It's really tough with these numbers.
So far, just tough for me. I'm making a fool out of myself. But that's okay. So Gilman on to bunt. A high snap. He will get the ball off. They'll let it bounce. And it will go out of bounds just short of the 20-yard line around the 22. And that's where McDonough will take over, and that's where Jack Jankowski will take over with 4:46 to go in the first.
And right there, punting for Gilman was Bryce Bush. Bush did not start the year as punter for Gilman. Jeremy Cranston, the linebacker, actually did. He did get injured in the middle of the season, and Bush came on to just sort of be the replacement punter, but he did such a great job that he won the job, and now he is the go-to Gilman punter.
And now four wide receivers out for DeJuan Ellis, who is in the shotgun for this first down play. He'll go to Jabril Johnson, who runs it up the middle and gets maybe 4 on the first down play.
Nice play right there by Bryce Bush, coming up and stuffing the run. He did pick up 4 yards right there, but it's going to be important for Gilman to stop this running game, especially on the inside.
Ellis with Jabril Johnson to his left for the second down. High snap, he fakes it. He's going to go with the end around. A little bit of a sweep play on the option, and he's torn down at the end of that play right at the line of scrimmage, and that'll bring up third down.
And right there, Thomas Booker in pursuit was able to force him to the outside, and then Zach Dixon came in to clean up the mess. And so far, this Gilman defense doing a nice job containing DeJuan Ellis.
And it always changes the game when you have a running quarterback, and this Gilman defense has not been fooled so far. They're coming out when they need to, and that's going to be a tough point for them throughout this game where they need to drop back into coverage, but if the quarterback decides to run, they need to be there to stop him. So far, they've shown that they are capable of doing that.
Now on a big third down inside their own 30-yard line. Ellis takes a snap. He's going to look left. Now he'll look right. Airs it out deep. He's got a man. It's Giovanni Procaccini. It is in and complete.
And just in and out of the hands of the intended receiver there. The Gilman coverage was busted. He had a little bit of a step on his coverage, but just not able to bring it in there as he was falling to the ground trying to make the reception.
Gilman definitely fortunate on that play as Procaccini was wide open. DeJuan Ellis with a nice throw. 50-50 ball right there, and Gilman fortunate that he was unable to come down with that one.
And excuse me, that was number 19, Jack Simmons, actually on the target, just unable to catch the ball. This one's going to be a deep punt. Going to have some room to run now to the 35, getting blocking to the 40, to the 45, now back to the opponent 45 field. Great field position to start this drive for the Greyhounds.
And Jones was taken down hard at the 45-yard line, but indeed Gilman will have great field position, up 7 with 3:10 to go in the first quarter.
Kyrie Jones, obviously the brother of Cyrus Jones, the former Gilman Greyhound and current New England Patriot. Cyrus, when he was at Alabama, took a number of kicks and punts back to the house, so Kyrie has that same returner blood in his DNA.
It's a football family.
Yes, it is.
Pernell Hill in the shotgun, 4 split out wide and a back to his left. He's going to keep this ball, run towards the line, and he will be pushed forward across the 40. And the Lions continue to fight, but then they will eventually make their way out of bounds, and his forward progress was stopped with about 5 yards on the gain. 2nd down and 5 coming up.
And right there you see that big body from Pernell Hill being put to use. It looked like he was going to be stopped right there for a gain of maybe 2, but he was able to push forward for 3 more. Gilman sets up a 2nd and 5.
Second down and 5, Pernell Hill. Once again in the shotgun, 3 wide on the play. They're going to hand this ball off up the middle to Brandon Madison, and Madison powering forward, staying on his feet down to the 25-yard line. Brandon Madison was not to be denied there. He got himself a 1st down and a little bit more to top it all off, and Gilman is in business rolling down the field.
Read option once again right there from Pernell Hill, who's reading the defensive end, who decided to stay outside and protect for him, and he handed off to Brandon Madison, who was able to pick up the 1st down and more right there.
The value of power running cannot be understated. As Pernell Hill is in the shotgun again, a man in motion. That's Schloter now moving to the near side of the O-line. And here's the handoff up the middle to Brandon Madison, and Madison pushing forward again. Look at him use the strength down to the 20-yard line.
And you're just seeing some tired McDonough defenders out there. A lot of McDonough, their offense starting both defensively and offensively, so just some weary legs out there. Getting contact at the line of scrimmage, but just getting pushed back by this Gilman front.
2nd down and 4 for Pernell Hill and the Greyhounds. Hill will throw to the near side. It's completed to Piper Bond, and Bond will stretch his way down towards the 12-yard line where he's got himself a Gilman 1st down. In fact, yes, that was indeed Piper Bond.
Yes, and that throw out to the flat for maybe 5 yards on a curl route is Pernell's favorite pass to throw to Piper Bond, as Piper has the surest hands in the game, and right there making another nice catch for a 1st down.
1st down and 10 for Gilman. Willis in motion. They're going to hand this ball off up the middle on the fake end around, and it will gain maybe a yard if that.
So again, right there, Gilman going to the Wildcat formation where Brandon Madison takes the snap, and what you'll see him do is spin around, and he'll either hand it off to Brandon Willis, give it to Zach Dixon, who stands to his left, or keep it himself. And Gilman loves to run this formation in the red zone, as it sometimes will confuse defenses, and Brandon Madison scored a number of touchdowns, but right here it looks like they're going to go back to Pernell Hill.
2nd down and 9. Hill in the shotgun, Schloter, Bond, and Willis from near to far, the receivers. Here is the handoff, or rather, it's going to be Pernell Hill keeping the ball, and he will be tackled with a loss of about a yard or 2.
Yeah, right there. Another read option play, this time Madison coming across. the sideline, and it looked like right there McDonough had either of those options covered up as Brunell decided to keep it. There were a number of Eagles right there ready to stop him.
25 seconds left in the first quarter of play. 3rd down and 10 for Gilman. Pernell Hill throws over the middle of the field. This ball is completed to the intended receiver, Brandon Willis, but it will not be enough for the first down, and that will take us to the end of the first quarter, where the Gilman coaching staff will be handed a very difficult decision. Do you risk it? 4th down and 5 in the beginning of the second quarter just to be gutsy?
No, I think if you're Gilman right here, you take the points. Douglas Godin been a very solid kicker all year. He's only missed 2 kicks, and that was in the first conference game. So he has been trusty all year, especially inside of 20 yards. So I think right here, 4th and 5, especially with the lead in this game, you definitely want to take the points, not risk anything.
And of course, we would like to welcome all of you once again, whether you're a McDonough fan or a Gilman fan. We're glad to have you along board. I am Julian Barron. This is Hab Conover, and that is Jack Jankowski. Really, really glad to bring this one to you here today. And Jack, talk to me about the struggles of this McDonough defense early on.
Well, it's been a tough day for the offense primarily. The defense has also struggled trying to protect against the run. They know that there's multiple threats from that running game, whether it's the quarterback, the wide receivers on end arounds, or just your traditional running back. And you're seeing a lot of, I think, tired legs out there. You got players playing both ways that are trying to contain and are getting contact on that first play at the line of scrimmage, but are then allowing Gilman into the secondary with that extra push.
And Hap, I think we've seen a really nice mix of plays from this Gilman offense, but one of the things we've seen a lot of is Brandon Madison's tough running. Do you think that Coach Holly is going to continue to go to that throughout the game? Absolutely.
Brandon Madison, like we said earlier, definitely the most explosive and best player on this Gilman offense. So Coach Tim Holly going to go to him continuously. If you can keep it going between the tackles, that'll be most important, as that sets up the outside game.
So here comes the field goal attempt, and it is good. Just sneaking by the far upright, and it's 10-0 Gilman.
And right there, Douglas Godin. That one was a little bit close to the goalpost, but he was able to get that one through, and that's important for Gilman now as they open up a 2-score lead here early in the second quarter.
And obviously a crucial drive coming for McDonough. And obviously in a game like this, every drive is crucial. You got a rivalry game, stakes are high, playoff implications. But this one is going to be certainly one of those momentum changers that if Gilman can force another stop, you start looking at your offense and seeing what schematically you can do differently to try to beat a really good Gilman defense so far today.
Yeah, this Gilman defense certainly coming out with much more passion and energy than they did last week, as Archbishop Spalding put up 42 points in the first half, so a better defensive effort here today from Gilman.
Here to kick it away, Godin. And it's another short kick, this one about the 35. Oh, and 2 McDonough players will ram into each other. Zach Laporte did hold on to the ball. It was Laporte and Giovanni Procaccini slamming into each other, trying to get the ball. And I think that's just another jitters move of people just making sure that they're not the ones making that fatal mistake, and then sometimes that itself causes mistakes.
And I don't even know if Laporte saw the other guy in front of him. I think he was just focusing on getting that ball in his hands, and all of a sudden there was another body right there, and you really can't do anything about that situation. It just happens.
Right, you got your eyes in the sky, you're looking to track down the ball, and you collide with somebody. That's an unfortunate experience, but thankfully Eagles recover. They're in the I formation to start this drive, 1st and 10 from the 36. Ellis scans the field. This is going to be a handoff. He runs behind Chris Smith, Jabril Johnson does, for about a 1-yard gain.
And right there, Thomas Booker, the defensive end for Gilman, committed to Stanford, making a nice play, closing in and stopping the McDonough runner after a gain of only 1.
And it's key for McDonough to start developing this running game, because any football game requires a good running game to really start getting some success and some progression downfield. And it's not going to be all big plays from either of these teams. It's going to be important that McDonough continues to pound the ball forward.
And here's a pitch play to Jabril. Jabril is going to get hit in the backfield, but is going to push forward for about 3 on the play. They'll give him third down and call it 6.
And right there, Jeremy Cranston unable to make the play in the backfield. He had him wrapped up, but a nice play from Jabril Johnson, able to break out and pick up a few more yards, set up a more manageable third down for McDonough.
And you can see Johnson's got that fire in his heart. He keeps fighting for every single yard, and right there, a great example of it, fighting out of that tackle and pushing forward. And instead of a third down of about 10, it's third down and maybe 6 or 5 yards here for McDonough.
And certainly those are big yards in a third down situation. Big play by Jabril just to get what he did. Trips formation to the right, and DeJuan Ellis will run it. He's getting to the 45. He'll have the first down at the 50 and using the legs to get down to the Gilman 47-yard line. Fresh set of downs for the Eagles.
Great play call right there from McDonough, going with the fake pitch to the outside. Saw the entire Gilman defense go to that far sideline, and then DeJuan Ellis keeping it himself. A hole opened up, and he's able to pick up the first down.
And DeJuan set records last year in track, now the fastest runner in McDonough history, eclipsing former football star Darius Hayward-Bay, now in the NFL. So they'll have this ball first and 10 at the 47, and this one's going to go to Jabril. He's going to have more luck this time as he busts forward, shakes a couple tackles, and he's down to the 34-yard line. First down and 10 for the Eagles.
And McDonough getting this running game going now is right there. Jabril Johnson had plenty of room to run. A hole opened up, and he was able to pick up 12 yards. So this Gilman defensive line and those linebackers need to do a better job.
And both these guys, Madison and Johnson, defenders don't scare them. They just keep pushing forward no matter what. And right there, a great example of it. Johnson getting every single yard he can and more.
And just that prototype runner stance, just short, fast, powerful. And now an option play. Ellis is going to take it, juke the guy out in front of him, and then carry a defender down to about the 26-yard line. Big play for DeJuan there.
Nice read option play right there from McDonough. It looked like Gilman might be able to make the stop in the backfield, but Ellis pulled it down, kept it himself, and picked up 9.
And right there, that's ball security at an entirely different level because he had that ball in his hand, a defender coming at him. He raised the ball in the air to keep it from fumbling out of his hands. A great job by DeJuan Ellis of making sure that the ball stays with the Eagles here and making sure that it doesn't slip out of his hands on an attempted tackle.
2nd and 1, always an interesting coaching decision. Do you go for the big play or just get the solid first down? They'll try to get it with Jabril, and he will be held up at the line of scrimmage, so it'll bring up 3rd and 1.
Great play right there from the Gilman defensive line, and Bryce Bush coming in from that middle linebacker slot. He was able to stop Jabril Johnson before he picked up the first down.
And now we have a timeout called by McDonough in anticipation of this 3rd down and 1.
And that's McDonough's second charge timeout. Coach Dom using his too early to try to get big play situations and get the right personnel out there for this 3rd and short.
And you wonder if this is 4-down territory for McDonough, as if they're for some reason unable to pick up the first down here. Not sure this is within field goal range. I'm not entirely sure. We didn't see the McDonough kicker warming up, but if it is indeed the backup, perhaps this is a 2-down situation.
Well, certainly, I will bet as a McDonough announcer, I'll bet my lunch money that they wouldn't kick the ball on the 4th down play. They've got the backup kicker, Grayson Lawrence, and even with Harrison Beatty, when they've had him this year, he has attempted 1 field goal in the last 2 years. So this is, I think, for McDonough, anything past the 50 is 4-down territory. And I formation again for the Eagles. They'll look to pass it, short screen, incomplete. Looked like he had a man to the right-hand side. He goes left, and the pass is harmlessly onto the turf. 4th down.
Right there, looked like it was intended for Jack Simmons. An interesting play call for McDonough throwing on 3rd down. It looks like they will indeed keep the offense out here, so you'd expect a run, but we'll see what they decide to go with.
And on that last play, some silver lining there. You'd rather underthrow that ball than overthrow it because you send it right into the hands of the defender if you throw it past your receiver instead of in front of him.
Certainly, then that's a cerebral play right there by DeJuan Ellis, making sure that if it is not going to his receiver, it's going to nobody else. Ellis under center here for 4th down and 1. They'll go QB sneak. Looked like the initial push got him there.
I think he's got it.
And I think he does too. We'll see what the marking will be. That is very close.
That's going to be very close. I think they're going to have to bring on the chains for that one. Initially, I thought he had it with that first push.
Ooh. That's very close. They have that ball perhaps just in the little bit of space there is between the 1st down marker and the 25-yard line. So it's going to be about whether the nose of that football is extending over the line, so they will probably bring out the chains.
If I had to guess, I'd say he got it.
As would I.
Yeah, this is going to be close, and I agree. I think the nose of the ball will just be enough to keep this drive alive for the Eagles.
Oh my goodness, it's Gilman ball. They're going to turn it over on downs. The football just maybe a hair short of the marker.
And that is about as close as it gets. That's got to be at most an inch. And right there, the Gilman defense comes up with a huge stand. On a 2nd and 1, they make 3 straight stops and get the ball back to Purnell Hill in this offense up 10-0.
Right,
Unbelievable. Go ahead, Jack. I'm sorry.
No. They call football the game of inches. I think in that circumstance, it was a game of centimeters. I mean, that was as close as physically possible. A tough break for the Eagles.
So now Purnell Hill lined up in the shotgun. 1st down and 10 after the turnover on downs. Quick throw to the near side, caught by Piper Bond, and Bond to the 31, and then he's plowed in the back towards the 30-yard line, but they will mark his forward progress, and it'll be 2nd down and about 5 yards.
Again, going to that curl route to Piper Bond, and they have such a great connection, Purnell Hill and Piper do, as he always knows right where Piper's going to be. Piper makes a nice catch right there, takes a hit, but picks up a nice gain on 1st down.
And if I had to guess, the tackle, that second effort was made by DeJuan Ellis. Knowing him as a person, I think that's a little bit of frustration seeping out and getting out on that defensive play.
Offset I formation for Gilman. Play action pass, Purnell Hill stepping up, and he's under pressure, and he will be taken down hard in the backfield. A loss of about 4, maybe 3 yards on the play, and it'll be 3rd down for Gilman after Purnell Hill got rattled.
And it looked like Griffin Catlett right there was on the pressure for McDonough, as Purnell Hill was able to shake free of an initial sack, but right there, the McDonough defensive line too much, and they'll sack him for a loss of 5. Big 3rd down coming up here for Gilman.
Catlett with 2 sacks on the day, having a career day, and in the biggest moment right here. And also on that play, Devon Ellis on the stop for the Eagles. Good group effort there to bring down the quarterback.
3rd down and 7 will be the mark for Gilman. And Purnell Hill in the shotgun again. Man in motion, that's Schloter moving to the near side. Purnell Hill will take the snap, and he will hand this ball off, and it's Brandon Madison, and Madison will be taken down across the 40-yard line. He's got himself a 1st down off a great run from Madison, finding the hole and taking advantage. And
Brandon Madison's so dangerous on those edges right there, getting the ball, going to the near side of the field, and he was able to cut it back up, pick up the 1st down. So far today, a nice game for Brandon Madison.
Madison's shifty, and he's got power. That combination, sometimes it just cannot be stopped, and that's a great example of it.
And that's a crushing play for the McDonough defense. Have them in a 3rd and long and a run play to get the 1st.
Flanked by backs in the backfield, Purnell Hill will throw the ball, pitch it forward on the shovel pass. And it'll be a gain of about a yard there, as anytime you throw that shovel pass in between a bunch of players, it's a little bit of a risk, Cap.
Yeah, I was shaking my head right there. Really dangerous play and a dangerous throw from Purnell Hill. He was lucky that one was complete and not intercepted, as there was a number of Eagles right there in the area. Gilman does pick up a couple of yards, but I doubt we see them go back to that play again.
Second down and 8 for Gilman. 3 wideouts and a back to the left of Purnell Hill. Back to pass Hill. He will throw, and it is completed. A low pass caught. And it'll be a gain of about 4 yards there after it was caught on the far hash mark by Piper Bond.
And Piper Bond, again, making a nice play right there as that ball was about to hit the turf. May have been tipped at the line of scrimmage, but he was able to scoop that ball off the turf. And now a big 3rd and 4 coming up for Gilman.
And a big matchup for this game is Gilman's tight end versus that McDonough defensive line. McDonough has not had a tight end in the 4 years that I've been there, so that's something that they don't practice in a lot.
3rd down for Gilman. Back to pass on play action. Purnell Hill rolling under pressure, and he will be taken down in the backfield. Swarmed by McDonough Eagles, and he had no chance to get away.
And right there, wow, that was a big hit Purnell just took as they went with the play action rollout to the right, and there were at least 4 Eagles there. I didn't see exactly who got the sack, but a big stop on 3rd down for McDonough as they get the ball back to their offense.
So 4th down and about 11 yards here. Gilman will punt the ball away to McDonough. with 6:04 to go in the second quarter. And the punt is off, high in the air. And a fair catch called for, and that's where McDonough will start their drive. And that's where I'll turn it over to Jack.
And good starting field position for the Eagles. Not great, but good. They're not backed up into their own end zone to start this drive. A huge drive again for the Eagles as they try to get some sort of offensive traction here late in the first half.
And right there for that McDonough defense, that was a big stand after the pretty heartbreaking call on fourth down to turn it back over to Gilman. They were able to make a stand after giving up a first down, but didn't allow any points and got the ball back to their offense.
And here, first down and 10 for the Eagles at the 25. Ellis will take it. He'll go on the draw play to Jabril. Jabril's going to find some space. He'll get a hole up to the 36, maybe 37-yard line. A big first down play for McDonough.
And McDonough, as we said on that last drive, got the running game going right there. Jabril Johnson able to break free of that initial tackler and pick up 6 yards.
And another example of Johnson being able to plant his feet and just go, and that's exactly what he does. He never stops, and he found his way down the field to get a few extra yards there after there was a chance he could have been tackled, but he just does not allow himself to be taken down by some of these defenders.
And now Ellis in the shotgun, towing about the 25-yard line. He's going to go and run it himself. He's got some room to the outside, and then he will get hit hard out of bounds. Maybe gains 3 on the play, and it'll set up third down and short.
A really nice job by the Gilman defense right there, not letting DeJuan Ellis get to the outside. They kept contained. Alex Slodzinski right with him there, step for step, as he ushered him out of bounds. And a big third down coming up for this McDonough offense.
And it looked like Ellis was going to get that first down, but you're right, Hap. Gilman just being aware of where that first down marker is, being sure that DeJuan Ellis could not get any farther forward, and now McDonough has an extra 2 yards to gain for the first.
And it's tough, this being the first game back for DeJuan Ellis since that injury. We've seen a little bit of that speed taken off, certainly early in this game. Here, handoff, Jabril Johnson, he will burst through, he will continue to churn his legs, and that looks like it's going to be a fresh set of downs for McDonough.
Really nice run right there from Jabril Johnson, knowing where the sticks are, and he was not going to be denied. He just, put his shoulders down and went right at that Gilman linebacking core, and he picks up a big first down.
First down and 10 from the 36-yard line. Ellis takes it. He's going to hand it off to Johnson again. Johnson is going to push forward for about 3 on that play, and it'll bring up second down after the short run.
Nice job right there from the Gilman defensive line. Alex Slodzinski making the stop. Looked like Johnson might be able to break free, but he was able to wrap him up. And the clock becoming a factor now in this half as there's 3:40 to go remaining in the second quarter. So this has been a very quick first 2 quarters.
Certainly a lot of ground game being practiced by both teams in this first half of play. Now man in motion. They're going to give it to Giovanni Procaccini. Procaccini, he'll dodge one man, and he will get back to the line of scrimmage. Not much more than that. Third down coming up.
Nice job by Procaccini to avoid Slodzinski in the backfield, but Piper Bond was there to say hello just a yard after the line of scrimmage. So Gilman doing a nice job containing these outside plays.
And Gilman's got a lot of players like Piper Bond that play really well offensively. You wouldn't expect them to be so great on defense, but they know how to wrap up. They can make these tackles. They're not afraid to try and do it, and they do it so often that sometimes you wonder how are they so good on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, Piper Bond especially. He's just one of the best receivers in the MIAA and also a terrific safety.
Ellis will take it. He'll fake the handoff here. He's looking across the middle of the field. Now he's facing pressure. He'll scroll out right, and he will be sacked. He's pulled down as he tried to give Rich Dion a couple extra seconds to get free of his defender, and he is finally wrestled down, and that will lead to the punt team coming out for McDonough.
Nice play by Jeremy Cranston right there for Gilman. It looked like a heat-seeking missile right there. He just set his sights on DeJuan Ellis and ran him out of bounds for a big stop on third down for Gilman as they will get the ball back here. Again, the clock at factor as it is just over 2 minutes to go.
And an offensive line for McDonough that has been pretty good so far, collapsing on that one. Grayson Lawrence, a line drive kick. This one is going to bounce at the 35, picked up at the 25. Jukes the first man, second man, third man. He's still on his feet. 35, 30, 45, 40, 45. He's still on his feet to the 50, to the 45, 40, 35. Doesn't look like anyone's going to catch him as he goes to the 25, 15, 10, 5, touchdown.
And what a play from Jones to somehow evade all sorts of defensive attempts all over the field, find his way across the field twice, and then he goes to the end zone striding in with no competition after the 30-yard line, and Jones was not to be denied on that play. He had his sights set on the end zone, and nobody was going to stop him.
We mentioned he's the brother of Cyrus Jones earlier in this game, and that reminded me so much of Cyrus Jones right there, just cutting back and forth across the field. Just a terrific return right there from Kyrie Jones, electrifying this Gilman crowd. And I think most people are stunned right now as Gilman has come out and taken it to this McDonough team. Pending the extra point, they'll be up 17-0.
Few players as shifty as Jones, and he proved it right there, especially at the high school level. The extra point, it is up, and it is good. And it's 17-0 Gilman with 1:46 to go until halftime. And now, if McDonough had to score before, well, they've got to score big time now.
And certainly special teams had to be a point of focus in practice for McDonough this week, because in the game against Calvert Hall, 2 onside kicks were covered by the Cardinals, as well as some very big punt returns for Calvert Hall in that game, which ended up being a Calvert Hall victory. And despite that focus, a big return in Jones, that was just a fantastically athletic play, dip diving and ducking the McDonough defenders.
Like you said, Hap, it runs in the family, and he certainly proved our point there, because Jones, he just stayed on his feet. It was as simple as that. He had so many points during that run where he could have easily been taken down, but he just said no.
Yeah, just that cutting back and forth, so effective, and wow, I'm pretty stunned so far.
And picked up Giovanni Procaccini. He's going to try to be a Jones of himself. Can't do it there. He gets down to the 36-yard line, and simply for McDonough, you need a fire starter. Don't know who it's going to be, whether it's the quarterback, whether it's a wide receiver, whether Jabril Johnson continues to run the ball. You need somebody to make a play.
And for that, Jack, I think back to what Gilman did to jumpstart their offense. They had that trick play where they handed it back to Piper Bond, and he threw the ball downfield, caught the defense off guard, rattled this McDonough defense from early on. Perhaps McDonough needs something along those lines, just something unexpected. Sometimes that'll really do it for you.
Certainly, and if you want to see that play, look for Nathan Walsh to go under center. This time it's DeJuan. He's going to look, buys time, throws it across the middle, and it is incomplete. Sails high over the outstretched arms of number 2, Curtis Jacobs.
Right there, Zach Dixon almost got his hands on another interception. DeJuan Ellis looking down the field, looked like that ball may have sailed on him. Perhaps a lingering effect of that shoulder injury, as we've seen him overthrow a couple of Eagles so far today.
And it's like the football gods are teasing Zach Dixon today, the second time that he's been denied an interception on either an overthrow or a bobble or something like that. So Dixon will definitely be looking to get one today, as he's missed 2.
Ellis now on 2nd down and 10. He's going to look to pass again, and over across the middle of the field, incomplete. Another big hit laid.
And was that Zach Dixon?
I
think that was Zach Dixon on that play. Dixon all over the field. He is like an Ed Reed today of this game, because he's had 2 tries at a pick, can't bring it in, but then goes up furiously and finds his way to that ball, makes it incomplete, couldn't pick it off, but that was pretty effective, I'd say.
And that was about as well-timed a hit as you could have. If you got there a second early, it would have been pass interference, but just as that ball was getting to the McDonough receiver, Dixon laid the lumber, forcing that ball to be incomplete, sets up a 3rd and 10.
Also stops the clock.
And Dixon wearing that number 20, so certainly comparisons to Ed Reed. And rolling to the outside, gonna find a man. It's Nathan Walsh, the backup quarterback. Also playing a little receiver. They like to use him all the way over in the offense as much as they can. Gets a fresh set of downs, which they desperately needed.
Yeah, huge play right there from McDonough. As you said, Nathan Walsh, the backup quarterback, making that catch. Just a simple out route, it looked like, but DeJuan Ellis making a nice throw, and they move the chains.
So they go hurry up despite the clock stopping on the out of bounds. And Ellis looking, fires across the middle. Curtis Jacobs, he's got the completion this time. He's going to get a block from Rich Dion. He's still on his feet, uses the stiff arm. 10, 5. Touchdown, Eagles.
And what a huge play right there from McDonough as they strike back after the Kyrie Jones punt return. That was an explosive play, just the spark you were talking about, Julian, as he was able to break free of a number of Gilman defenders and get into the end zone. That's just what McDonough needed right before the half.
And right where that ball was caught, there was a whole bundle of bodies that could have gone away with that ball, but somehow it ended up going the way of the Eagles. And for a moment there, it looked like it almost could have been picked off, but instead it's a touchdown for McDonough, and they are crawling their way back here. Barring a missed extra point, 17-7 will be your score, but don't sleep on the Greyhounds offense. They've got 109 to score before half.
Grayson Lawrence ready to kick the extra point here. There is a flag before he kicks. Looks like it's going to be encroachment against the defense. Gives us a little time to talk about that touchdown. DeJuan Ellis' favorite target on this field is Curtis Jacobs. Hasn't been able to find him as much as he'd like to so far this game, but they love that slant route over the middle of the field. And Curtis, he can catch the ball as well as the rest of them, but that tool that he has that no one else seems to have on this field is that stiff arm ability, and he uses it twice on that play to make an improbable touchdown reception.
Yeah, that stiff arm was so effective as it looked like he was going to be brought down, as we mentioned, 2 or 3 times, but just able to break free, and that speed at the end to get it into the end zone, super impressive.
And on the note of that stiff arm, it looks so easy, or he made it look so easy, rather, just looking from up here, and I'm sure looking from your screens at home, but that is not an easy thing to do by any means, and he made that look like a piece of cake. So just a testament to his strength and his ability on the football field to be aware of everybody around him.
And Curtis is one of those players who's always working out, always trying as hard as he can. He's in the dorms with me here at McDonough, and whenever you ask him what he's doing, I'm working out. Hey, you need to do some homework? I'm working out. You want to watch the game? I'm working out. It is a lifestyle for him, and that pays off there with the big play.
So with 1:09 to go here in the second quarter of play, it's getting chilly here at John McDonough Stadium, but the fireworks on the field are just heating up.
And we've been very fortunate so far to avoid the rain that was in the forecast. Hopefully that avoids us for the rest of this game.
I hope you didn't jinx it.
I'm knocking on wood after that statement.
Squib kick.
Yeah, a little squib there, and a Gilman player dives on the ball. And Gilman will start their drive just short of the 40-yard line, around the 38-39.
Yeah, Bryce Bush right there doing a nice job covering that ball up. Interesting that McDonough decided to go with the squib right there. Obviously not wanting to risk the big return once again, but it does set Gilman up in pretty good field position. They do have all 3 of their timeouts with 1:08 to play, so we'll see if Purnell Hill is able to lead them down the field to get either a field goal or a touchdown.
17-7 your score. Purnell Hill lined up at the shotgun. Brandon Willis lined up at the near side as the wide receiver. Hill will roll, attempting to pass, and he does pass. The throw is completed here. Shifting away from defenders, he's got a first down across the 50-yard line and into McDonough territory. Looked like Piper Bond there.
Yep, it was Piper Bond again on that short 5-yard route in the flat. Piper unable to get out of bounds, though, and the clock will start once they set the chains.
Hill now rolls to the near side. With time, he throws, and it is incomplete as he was forced to throw off his back foot. Was able to stay on his feet, but just not able to get his feet planted the way you need for a good throw.
Yeah, McDonough was threatening right there with pressure, and Purnell just decided to throw that one away. Probably the wise call. Gilman probably needs at least 25, 30 more yards to get into field goal range, so they have to come up with at least another big play with 49 seconds to go here.
And both of these quarterbacks today, great football IQs. Purnell Hill right there. Juan else has got the same ability.
Statue of Liberty play.
Yeah, they're going to hand this ball off to Brandon Madison, and Madison pushing forward. He's got a gain of about 4 yards on the play as there was some trickery on the Gilman offensive side of the ball. And now it looks like we will have a timeout called, perhaps.
Yep, Gilman's going to spend their first one of the half to stop the clock right there. But I mentioned earlier that Statue of Liberty play, Gilman loves to go that, especially in the situations where you wouldn't expect them to. 3rd and long, and right here in a 2-minute drill type situation, running the ball. But the Eagles did a really nice job right there, not being fooled and stopping him after only a gain of 5. So that's going to bring up a crucial 3rd down here.
And I would say the first two plays, since that touchdown, were really examples of McDonough players trying to do too much. That onside kick, semi-onside kick opportunity that they tried there, and then you saw Wayne Sharp, number 9, try to make the big tackle, try to force a fumble. He ends up missing, and they get the first down. And so a good group tackle right there on that second down play to make sure that there was a stop, not trying to do too much, just make the stop and get the third.
So third down and about 7 yards here for Gilman. Pernell Hill will be charged with the burden of trying to get the first down here, as Gilman is just barely into Eagles territory with 39 seconds on the clock in the first half. Hill claps his hands and he is waiting for the snap. And he takes the snap back to pass. Throwing over the middle of the field, and this ball is intercepted by McDonough. Rumbling down towards midfield, still on his feet, and waiting for forward progress to be stopped. That was number 91, Griffin Catlett, on the interception, and that is exactly what McDonough needed there. In this situation, they've got a chance.
And right there, Griffin Catlett, who's been, I'd say, the best player in this McDonough defense today with 2 sacks, and right there, such a nice play. He tipped the ball to himself and was able to make the interception. Sets up McDonough now with a chance to score points before the half, as they have 28 seconds to go. But that's a huge play in this game, as McDonough scoring a touchdown and forcing a turnover is right back in it.
Cannot understate the value of having defensive linemen that know how to raise their hands. And right there's an example of it. Able to tip that ball, and just by the luck of the draw, the bounce ended up in his arms.
Now first down and 10 for the Eagles. Right at the 50-yard line. Ellis looking deep on the first play. He's got a wide receiver. It is incomplete. Jack Simmons had a hand on the ball, but he just quite couldn't bring it in, and it'll be second down.
And that is a huge break for Gilman right there, as Simmons was wide open. I thought he was going to have a touchdown easily, but that ball a little bit underthrown, and he was unable to make the catch. So Gilman catches a break here. They can't allow receivers to get over the top of them, especially at an end-of-half situation like this. I don't understand why they're not putting at least 3 safeties back deep, because a play like that just can't happen.
And yes, a huge break for Gilman, but you have to give some credit to Brandon Willis, who never gave up on the play, raced after the receiver, and just as that ball needed to be caught, ran right into the vicinity and perhaps distracted the catch.
Now second down and 10. Ellis looking to pass. He'll fire it a little bit high, but incomplete. Right in and out of the hands of Curtis Jacobs. Took his eye off the ball a little bit for a second, possibly, and it's incomplete.
Right there, unable to get the out route. That may have only picked up 6 or 7 yards, though, so not the big play that the first down play was. So now third down, again, 18 seconds, so Gilman shouldn't really be worried about the first down, as what matters more is the big play down the field.
Well, certainly, I think at this point, you run the ball. If you're McDonough, you run the ball, you go to half. You don't risk a big play for the opposite side.
Now we have a timeout called by McDonough here, and one of the things that I'm wondering about right now, and I think the errancy of Dwan Ellis has been an issue all day for McDonough. Jack, from your opinion, from your standpoint, is there a chance we do see Nathan Walsh come in the second half?
I don't think it has been enough of a problem for them to bring in Nathan Walsh. I think they clearly know that that running ability that Dwan Ellis possesses is such a valuable asset to this team that they would not take that out for a little bit more throwing strength in Nathan Walsh. Now, if that shoulder, if they go in and if the trainers look at it and they say, look, he's risking himself by being out there, you could see Nathan Walsh. And certainly that is a possibility, but I would be surprised if Dwan Ellis isn't taking snaps in the second half.
And I have to say, that running ability from Dwan Ellis is so huge. Even if you don't see it on every play, just the fact that the Gilman defense has to account for it, they have to keep rushers on the outside to make sure he doesn't break free. So I have to agree with you, Jack. As long as Dwan Ellis isn't injured, I would expect to see him remain in the game.
Third and 10 now, looking deep again. Ellis, he's got a man to double coverage for Curtis Jacobs, who reaches a hand up. It is incomplete, and that'll bring up fourth down. There's a flag down on the field.
Looks like a holding call against McDonough right there, and Piper Bond did a really nice job. He was not going to let that ball be completed in the end zone, as Gilman went with a more prevent-style defense. And after the holding call, yeah, you would have to expect McDonough to go into the half.
And prevent defense is exactly what Gilman should be doing right now. They had 2 men on that receiver, and they're doing a nice job right now, at least, of recovering from that one moment just a few moments ago where they had, McDonough had a receiver deep downfield wide open on the underthrown ball. So this Gilman secondary learning from their mistakes, and that's what everything's about here in the football field.
And Piper Bond, we have here at McDonough a lot of two-way athletes. I would call him a three-way because he goes offensive, defensive, and president of the student council. So that rare talent to have it both on the football field and in the ballot box. He spoke at McDonough earlier this week, gave a really rousing speech about tradition, and so good to see somebody so dedicated both to athletics and academics at Gilman.
Yeah, Piper is sort of the golden boy, I'd call him. He's pretty good at everything he does. He's also an all-state track athlete and a great lacrosse player in his own right, being the schools to play. So, Piper Bond, certainly a real pleasure to be in his class, and just an overall great guy. Good to see him succeeding so far in the football field.
So now with about 10 or 11 seconds left on the clock here, 10.9 to be exact, McDonough will punt this ball away, and Gilman will have an opportunity just for a brief moment to do something with the ball. And, of course, I would say the half is practically over, but we did just a little bit ago, so who knows?
Certainly, I would expect to see this one kicked as far out of bounds as possible.
And that's exactly what they're going to do. It goes well out of bounds. Didn't care about the distance there, as we've got about, it should be 4 seconds on the clock. That's when the ball went out of bounds, but now they've just wound it down a little bit too far. They may not correct it, though.
Yeah, Gilman should just come out, take a knee here, and send it into the half, as they have got to be pretty satisfied with what they have seen so far today.
Gilman with a 17-7 lead on the road in a rivalry game. You really can't ask for much more here, Hap. And if your head coach, Mr. Tim Hawley, what are you saying to your team in the locker room at halftime?
Well, I think the message has to be to not let up. It's definitely a bit surprising that they come out here with a 10-point lead going into the half, but obviously McDonough just an explosive offense and an overall great team. So this Gilman offense and defense cannot afford to let up at all, and they will have to continue to be relentless in the second half.
And Purnell Hill will just take a knee, and that will send us into the half. Your score, the Gilman Greyhounds 17, the McDonough Eagles 7 here at John McDonough Stadium. The Greyhounds have busted out of the gates. Let's see if they can do it again in the second half, while McDonough needs to find a way to recover and storm back in the second half of play. And Jack, if there's one thing that you could pick that McDonough needs to do better, one specific aspect of the game going into the second half of play, what would you choose?
Well, they've ran the ball pretty well, but I would say and if they can run the ball with Jabril Johnson and get that 5-6 yards a carry consistently, that'll be such an offensive asset that will carry over into the passing game and into getting their defense more rest and have them playing better. So I would say the run game, it's been good, but if it can be great, that's a huge asset for the Eagles.
And Hap, we've seen all sorts of different strategies across every single level of football in situations like this where you're up by multiple scores going into the second half of play. And if you're Gilman, do you focus on just playing conservatively? The plus of that would be you don't turn the ball over. The negative, of course, being that perhaps you could let the other team come back. Or do you get aggressive, throw the ball a lot, and just take your chances at getting back into the end zone?
I'm all about being aggressive in the second half if you're Gilman here, Julian. I think get Brandon Madison out into the open space. That's going to be the key. If they can get him on maybe a screen play or just something out in the flat, continue to throw the ball to Piper Bond, but there's no reason they should just be handing it up the middle and taking 2 yards of carry and punting it away after a 3 and out. I think Gilman needs to keep their foot on the gas pedal and just keep being aggressive to win this game.
So I think we will probably step away for just a few moments here. We'll be back a few minutes before the start of the second half. I'm Julian Barron alongside Hap Conover and Jack Jankowski, and we will see you in a few minutes. And welcome back, everybody, to the 102nd annual Gilman McDonough game here at John McDonough Stadium. I'm Julian Barron, alongside Hap Conover and Jack Jankowski. Gilman getting ready to kick it off, and it is a 17-7 game. Gilman, they came storming out of the gates, and McDonough now trying to claw their way back in what should be a very fun and exciting second half. So here we go. I'll turn it over to Jack Jankowski.
Here's the kickoff. Another short kick going to about the 35. And now Giovanni Procaccini, he will dive out of a tackle. He's now at the 50, and he'll get knocked down at about the 47-yard line of Gilman. Good kick return there.
And the entire point of that short kick is to mitigate any sort of return, but right there, Procaccini able to turn in a 20-plus yard return and set McDonough up in the Gilman side of the field. So a nice job by McDonough as they start with excellent field position here in this half.
Yeah, channeling his inner Kyrie Jones right there, who was channeling his Cyrus Jones. So it's just a long stream of very talented players that we've got right here on both of these teams, past and present.
Now that we're into the second half, you can see the lights are on and in full force. Day turns to night here in Owings Mills, Maryland. Man in motion, it's Procaccini, and they'll fake it to him. Now it's going to be Ellis. Ellis back on the field, and he is torn down hard. The ball is out, but it looked like his knee was down. Ellis a little slow to get up on that one.
Thomas Booker right there making a nice play. He was able to get outside of contain and stop DeJuan Ellis before he really got much right there.
And he's not going to Stanford for nothing. He knows how to get all over the field. And when Thomas Booker needs to take somebody down, you can say 99% of the time they're going to be taken down.
Yeah, Thomas, an excellent player for Gilman on both sides of the ball, especially on that defensive side where he was recruited to play in college. Always able to break 3 of those one-on-one blocks.
Ellis standing at the 50-yard line. He'll hand it to Johnson. Jabril Johnson, burst of speed up the hole down to the 38, 39-yard line. Third down coming up.
And right there, Jabril Johnson just smashing into that hole. He looked like it was like a freight train going through there and able to pick up 6 yards. Big third down here early in this game, although, as we said, this is probably 4-down territory for McDonough, inside Gilman territory.
And I owe some shout-outs that I want to get out of the way. Shout-outs to a lot of graduates from my grade, Colton Keatley, Vince Riley, Cody Capri, all tuning in from all over the place. So shout-outs to them, Gilman alumni all over the country.
And while we're on that subject, I'd like to shout out Ryan Leventhal, current McDonough student, and Andrew Golden, who was my editor-in-chief last year. It's going to be DeJuan Ellis now on the little sweep play. He'll get the first down and a little bit more, taken down awkwardly out of bounds there, but it's a fresh set of downs for the Eagles.
And you mentioned that DeJuan Ellis was a track star, Jack, earlier in this game, and right there we saw that speed as it looked like he might be taken down in the backfield there on the edge, but he was able to make a man miss, get to the outside, and pick up the first down.
And they've been running that kind of sweep play for the quarterback over that option a lot today. Haven't seen that totally this season. Now, DeJuan has been out for a while, so that must be something that they have been implementing through the practices that he's been out. Ellis at the 40. And handoff to Johnson again. Jabril is going to get it down to the 28-yard line, second down and short coming up.
Really nice run right there from Jabril Johnson, and McDonough's got this running game going again after initially being stopped by the Gilman defensive line. Their offensive line is getting a good push, and Jabril Johnson picking up 6-7 yards a carry now.
And that was my point of focus in the second half that we talked about at halftime. Get that running game going. I expect a pass here. I think they take a shot to the end zone. They go run, actually, and Jabril Johnson, he's stopped right at the line of scrimmage and third down.
Gilman, nice job right there. It looked like that left side of the defensive line, Maxwell Costas in on the stop for the Greyhounds as they force another third down.
And Johnson tried to pull the spin move there, but in the middle of his spin, he got taken down on his back. And right there, just a great example of this Gilman team, this Gilman defense in particular, anticipating these juke moves from these offensive players of McDonough.
And now third down and call it 3 from the Gilman 28-yard line.
Play clock is winding down here. And they are going to take a timeout. They're going to burn a timeout here early in the third quarter after the play clock hit 3.
And we'll have to remember that later in this game, if that becomes an issue, is right there. Shouldn't be any reason for McDonough to call a timeout, as it looked like just a pretty routine, tackle and play up the middle. So just not getting the play in time, and they'll have to spend a timeout before this third down.
And this gives me an opportunity to remind you that Gilman's 38th annual Bull Roast and Silent Auction is March 2nd, 2018. You can check gilman.edu for details after the first of the year.
So now coming out on third down right here. I think if you're Gilman, you still have to anticipate a run. You can't rule it out, as McDonough has shown a willingness to go to that, especially in these third and short situations.
3 wide receivers set for the Eagles. Ellis sends a man in motion, takes a snap, fakes it to that man in motion. Now he's going to go around the side, and he loses the football, picks it back up, and doesn't gain anything there, so it'll bring up 4th down.
Zach Dixon makes a really nice play right there as he was following DeJuan Ellis all the way out to the outside and was able to make contact before the line of scrimmage, bring up 4th down.
And Dixon's ability to pursue from that safety position is so valuable for this Gilman defense. He does it all the time. He finds a way to do it right there. And when you keep your eyes on the ball carrier as a safety, you sometimes just cannot be stopped.
And now another 4th down and short. 4 down territory for the Eagles here inside the 30. Ellis claps his hands, fakes the handoff. Now he's going to look to pass. He's got a man. He throws it. It is caught. Curtis Jacobs. He stays on his feet, chugging away, and gets down to the 13-yard line. 1st down, Eagles.
A really nice 4th down call right there from McDonough, rolling the quarterback DeJuan Ellis out to the right and then bringing the receivers back to the near side of the field. The Gilman defense was all pursuing the quarterback, and he had a wide open receiver right there in Curtis Jacobs. A big 4th down conversion, and now McDonough sets themselves up 1st and 10 in the Gilman red zone.
And you can feel a little bit of rain starting to come down here in our booth. Just some sprinkles, not even that perhaps, but hopefully that stays away and doesn't distract these two teams.
And Johnson continues to churn his feet and gets caught around the ankles. That should be enough for the 1st down and goal now on the big run for Jabril Johnson.
And right there again, just taking it to this Gilman defense as he lowered his shoulders and put a big hit right there on a Gilman linebacker. So a nice job from Jabril Johnson, and McDonough now right within striking distance.
Yeah, this McDonough offense looks like it's been jump-started, and this defense from Gilman, they just don't seem like they were ready for this sort of thing to come out of the half.
1st down and goal from the 2. Johnson tripped up in the backfield, and it'll bring up 2nd down.
Really nice play right there from the Gilman defensive line. It looked like there was a couple of guys in on that stop, and they will bring up a 2nd and short, but they're still going to have to be wary of both the run and the pass.
And a little out-of-town scoreboard for you. Hap, if I told you that Iowa and Ohio State were playing right now, what would you tell me the score is?
Well, I would have guessed 35-0 in favor of Ohio State.
Well, I'm going to tell you that right now. It's 45-17 in favor of Iowa.
Wow, I can't, that's incredible.
And end around Giovanni, and there's a flag as Procaccini is going to bust into the end zone. Looks like this one's going to come back because of a holding penalty on the Eagles.
Looks like
huge penalty.
They're actually going to call an illegal shift, it looks like, as the head referee made this signal. Regardless, that's going to bring back the touchdown. So that should only be a 5-yard penalty, though, as opposed to a 10-yard one.
And that little bit of yardage can be so important here in the red zone, the difference between a 5-yard penalty and a 10-yard penalty.
But it certainly changes the play call for McDonough in this situation. You had a 2nd down and 2. You have a lot more of a play call available to you in those short runs, those quick gains, versus this 2nd down and now about 9 that they have to cover for the score.
I think you still go to Jabril Johnson if you're McDonough here. He's been running the ball so well early in this half.
And they will fake it to Johnson, go to the end around, and Ellis will meet the entire Gilman defense at about the 9-yard line. He goes down.
Zach Dixon again in on that tackle, but Alex Slodzinski made the best play. He was able to contain Ellis. He was step for step with him along the sideline until a couple other Greyhounds got there. So they did a nice job containing him and bringing up this 3rd down.
And it's so amusing as a Gilman fan, I'm sure, to watch that whole gaggle of white jerseys follow the ball carrier just absolutely parallel all over the field. And they've been doing a great job today, this Gilman defense has, of staying as a swarm. And wherever there's a tackle that needs to be made, they do it as a team.
Yeah, they've done a really nice job, especially on those outside runs by DeJuan Ellis, making sure he doesn't break free for anything too big.
On a play action there where he was going one side, rolls out to the opposite, still the defense not fooled. I formation here, Ellis looking to pass, he'll go deep to the end zone, it is batted away.
And no flags on the play.
That is surprising.
Yeah, there was, that to me is pass interference. As it looked like he, a lot of contact in the end zone there. And then without that flag call, not sure why Piper Bond decided to just bat that ball down. He probably had a play on an interception, but he decided to just knock it to the turf. And that's going to bring up 4th down. It looks like the field goal team's going to come on now for McDonough.
And I guess the argument could be made that there was incidental contact, but in my mind, there were too many jerseys around too many white jerseys rather around that one McDonough player for it to just be incidental. There was a little bit too much contact before the ball was even close to the receiver.
And certainly you couldn't call that the ball was uncatchable, as Lawrence's kick is no good. A crusher for the Eagles as they look to have a touchdown, and it turns into no points for McDonough as Grayson's kick is no good.
And that is a huge play for this Gilman team, as that would have made it a 1-score game. Gilman actually did not even rush the kicker there. They dropped 4 back anticipating some sort of fake. And right there on what most would consider a chip shot field goal, that goes wide left. And Gilman keeps this a 10-point game now and gets the ball back.
And you want to talk about just a demoralizing sequence where you have a play that probably should have been a pass interference call. You get denied a touchdown, or at least the ball at the 1-yard line there, or halfway to the goal. And then on the field goal that you have to kick, because of that, you miss the field goal. It's just absolutely demoralizing, and this McDonough team's going to have to find a way to pick their head up as Pernell Hill is under center, and he hands his ball off up the middle, and he's got Brandon Madison pushing forward for a gain of maybe a yard or 2 on the play. 2nd down and 8 coming up.
And that was a huge drive for McDonough, and then it took so much time off the clock. It went from about 11 minutes or so. Actually, I think they got the ball back to start the half.
They did.
And so that was a 6+ minute drive to come away with no points. That's really tough.
2nd down and 7. Pernell Hill hands this ball off to his running back, who's pushing forward. A whole pile of players there after the forward progress is stopped. It'll be a gain of about 2 yards after Brandon Madison kept on pushing, and it's 3rd down and 5.
Gilman coming out with a more conservative set so far in the second half. Just some runs up the middle with Brandon Madison. Big 3rd down coming up here as their defense was just on the field for more than half a quarter, so they need to get him a break and move the chance to get him at least 3 more downs.
Do you pass here, Hap?
I would say yes. I'd go to Piper Bond, and we've been talking about those 5-yard plays out in the flat. He's got single coverage, so I'd go there.
Pernell Hill in the shotgun. He's got 3 wide and a back to his right. Takes the snap, play action, and he will lose the football. Defenders coming in to try and get it. What's the call? We're waiting for it. And it is McDonough football. After the turnover, Pernell Hill on the play-action pass had it fall out of his hands, and that's exactly what the Eagles needed as this crowd is erupting under us.
P.J. Mustafer, oh my goodness, he was in the backfield before the ball was there. I mean, Pernell Hill was looking to do play action there, but he stripped the ball before he could even pull it back out again. He was able to recover the fumble as well, and McDonough gets the ball in deep inside Gilman territory. Huge play right there by the Eagle defense.
And that's just a defense that did not give up after a heartbreaking play. And I really honestly want to say Grayson Lawrence, a 2nd-string kicker, he's coming in trying to kick field goals, which he hasn't practiced for most of the year. Tries and unfortunately did not get it in, but his team picks him up, and Eagles back.
Can't be surprised with that, as McDonough, all the momentum in the world after that turnover, hands it to their star running back, and Gilman right there on defense just completely caught off guard. Big touchdown, and now the Eagles within probably 3 points of this.
Way to spark their offense particularly poorly. They haven't had that many snaps here in the second half of the game, but in terms of the over.
This is a huge drive for Gilman right here. Even if they don't get points, they have to at least take and give their defense.
Ball on the and he will be taken down just a little bit ahead of the line of scrimmage. Taken down in 9 or 10 coming.
Defensive line posed their will on this Gilman. Seeing them winning that battle at the line of scrimmage. Gilman try to generate a little bit more of a push.
Again, Pernell Hill in the shotgun, claps his hands. 2nd down and 9. Play action, rolling down to the near hash mark, fires on the run, and it's completed. A great catch as he leaped in the air across the 40-yard line and into McDonough territory. Once again, it's Piper Bond. This time, he brings it in for a huge gain.
And that's situations where, you know, you're not sure who to go to. That's that.
On the play.
Pernell Hill in the shotgun first. Forward looked like an option play. He will be taken down after trying to take it himself. On to the near side is the wide receiver. Here's the handoff, or rather, yes, it's going to be a handoff, and pulled down by the horse collar is Brandon Madison looking for the flag there.
That was a tough tackle.
Here's the handoff to Brandon Madison, busting it outside. Brandon Madison, he's got a lane, and Brandon Madison still on his feet with a first down and more, down towards the red zone, and it looks like he will indeed enter the red zone right at the 20-yard line.
And Brandon Madison, one thing that people don't talk about enough is his patience. He's so good at waiting for that hole to open up, and right there, you saw him just sort of tiptoeing, you know, side to side right there, waiting for that hole, and then he was able to burst free once he saw it and pick up the first down.
And hey, if you're not having luck running the ball up the middle with either your running quarterback or your running back, break to the outside, try to get that defensive end to make a play. He doesn't for McDonough, first down.
First down and 10 for the Greyhounds. Man in motion and a shotgun snap to Pernell Hill, who fakes the handoff, throws over the middle, and a nice diving catch made over the hash mark and across the 10-yard line. Looks like that was Schloter on the reception.
That was Piper Bond.
Piper Bond, excuse me. Yeah, thank you.
Usually the safe call, if you're not exactly sure who it is, to call Piper Bond is pretty much, you know, the go-to Gilman wide receiver. And right there, making another nice play as that ball was a little bit behind him from Pernell Hill, but it picks up the first down.
Picking up my slack. Thank you, Hap. In the shotgun and the handoff. Brandon Madison powering forward close to the goal line. He's about a yard or two short.
And Jackie, you mentioned those outside runs. That's what Gilman's decided to go to now. Another sweep play to the outside of the right tackle. And McDonough having a hard time getting to the edges and getting contained.
And the Eagles pride themselves on their red zone defense. They'll have to put their money where their mouth is.
And now they're powering up the middle. This is McDonough ball. Awaiting the call. There's a whole pile of players down there towards the goal line.
This one's going to stay with Gilman.
Yes. So Gilman maintains possession after the scare. And it'll be third down and goal.
And that is the last thing Gilman could have right there, is a turnover at this point in the red zone. I mean, even if you have to kick the field goal, you get the points. You just cannot turn the ball.
Third down and goal, and now going forward is Brandon Madison close to the goal line, and he scores. Touchdown, Greyhounds.
And again, going to that outside sweep play with Brandon Madison, just able to get enough there as he was able to push the pile into the end zone. And Gilman responds to that turnover and a McDonough touchdown with one of their own. Makes this a two-score game once again.
23-14 your score, and barring a missed extra point, it'll be a 10-point lead for the Greyhounds with about 47
right there, utilizing Brandon Madison and Piper Bond. And Gilman, as you said, Julian, does exactly what they need to do and makes this a two-score game.
And that extra point is good. Your score, 24-14 here at John McDonough Stadium.
This will be an interesting drive for the Eagles to see what their mentality is now nearing the fourth quarter of play. I would hate to see them abandon the run at this point, but you might see a lot more hurry-up offense, a little quick play as they try to bring some urgency into their offense, getting into what looks like a shootout coming into the final.
Early to plan ahead for Gilman Alumni Weekend. Important, especially when you're down by 10.
First down and 37. Handoff to Johnson. Jabril is going to take it, push forward, and it'll be second down. The play run here.
Thomas Booker in on that stop as
over the middle of the field, first down and 10. Eagles with a fresh set of downs on the slant pass.
And that's just a great play right there from DeJuan Ellis and Curtis Jacobs. They saw the matchup. They had Alex Sladzinski, the pass rusher specialist really for Gilman in coverage, and decided to exploit it right there as he was wide open and picks up the first down.
So that right there will be the end of the third quarter. And McDonough trails by 10 points. And Jack, heading into the final quarter of play, do you expect to see right out of the start of the fourth quarter, so right here with these 12 minutes, do you expect McDonough to just be going down the field and hurry up? Do you think they'll wait a little bit to get that sense of urgency?
I think they will start with that sense of urgency now. I think the reason that they let that go to fourth quarter is now they have the opportunity with a little bit more time to say, okay, here are the next 3 plays that we're running, and if it's not this, we're checking to this, and kind of set their whole offensive strategy for how they will get the next 47 yards and get a touchdown and come back into this game. So I would expect a little bit of sense of urgency, maybe not a full hurry up where you're going as soon as you can, but some sense of a quicker pace for this drive. So now first down and 10 after the Curtis Jacobs reception over the middle of the field. Shotgun for Dwan Ellis. He'll take it. He's going to run it this time on a quick QB draw play, and he pushes forward. He's going to get a first down here.
I haven't seen that quite yet. DeJuan Ellis just with this straight quarterback keeper, and right there finding a hole in the offensive line, able to pick up the first down. So Gilman, even with a 10-point lead, still has to be aware of that quarterback run.
And he's looking so fast down there, looking like a track star almost with those long strides, able to get quickly downfield. And right there, didn't take very long for him to gain about 9-10 yards.
First down and 10, 37-yard line. Jabril Johnson, nothing going on there. That'll bring up second down and 10.
So Gilman now needs to make sure they stop that rushing attack, but obviously they can't commit too many players, especially in the secondary, to come in, as DeJuan Ellis has shown an ability to throw it deep down the field.
And they don't run that quarterback draw that we saw on first down a whole lot because they want to protect that shoulder of DeJuan Ellis. But when it comes down to the fourth quarter, I mean, all safeties are off. You're trying to win a football game. Second and about 9 here. Looking for the screenplay. Curtis Jacobs is going to get it. He's going to find a lane, and he is ripped down at about the 30-yard line, and it'll be third down. There's going to be a flag out. Looks like it's going to be holding against the Eagles, which would be a huge penalty.
We'll check the call.
It could be defensive holding.
Yep, as we saw both teams pointing against each other, but yes, it will be a hold against McDonough.
And that is absolutely huge. You end up pushing your offense back, and even though you maintain the down, what really matters right now is gaining that yardage. And I know we've still got 10:47 to go in the fourth quarter, but if you're McDonough, you just cannot afford to lose yards like that.
Lose yards and time. I mean, you're down by 2 scores, and I agree, there's a lot of time left, but all of those seconds can count, especially since you burned that first time out early in the third quarter.
And so now you also put McDonough in a pretty obvious passing situation with second and long, although would not be surprised to see DeJuan Ellis keeping himself here. Would like to see, if you're a Gilman fan, maybe a little bit more of a pass rush, as hasn't been too many sacks thus far today, but maybe in a play where a lot of receivers need to develop long routes.
And now second down, got the coverage, and it's incomplete. He threw it just a little bit behind Curtis, and that will bring up third down and long. Had the time in the pocket, threw it, but he was on the run, so it was a little rushed. Throws it just behind Curtis. He can't make the play, third down.
I still think that's a catch you got to make if you're Curtis Jacobs. We saw him make a couple of nice catches earlier in the game, and right there, that's a huge play. It looked like he had a lot of room to run as well. He may have been able to pick up the first down. So right there, got to help your quarterback out, especially when he's got an injury to his throwing shoulder. That was a catchable ball for Curtis Jacobs. Textbook
definition right there of a missed opportunity, especially in a situation like this. I understand that the ball was thrown a little bit behind the intended receiver, but at the end of the day, somebody's got to adjust, and at that position, it's got to be the wide receiver in a situation where you're down 10 in the fourth.
And Ellis takes it. He's going to run it on this one, and he will spin off a tackle. He's still on his feet. He'll rip another tackle, and he will slide down at about the 35-yard line. They're going to give him the 33, and that'll bring up fourth down and about 7.
Brandon Madison saved the touchdown right there as DeJuan Ellis broke out of maybe 3 tackles. That was pretty incredible right there as he was just spinning and maneuvering his way. But Brandon Madison just got him by the ankles and tripped him up to force this fourth down. This is a huge play in this game, as if McDonough doesn't get it, they're going to really have to start worrying about the clock.
They've got 4 wide receivers out there. The tailback is Chris Smith, who might be just there for extra protection. Ellis using a hard count. He'll take the snap. He'll look. He's got pressure. He'll throw it deep. He's got Jack Simmons. It is caught. It is a touchdown. Jack Simmons. And DeJuan Ellis fires the ball deep. That is a 38-yard touchdown, 37-yard touchdown for the Eagles, and it brings them back to into this game.
And that right there is an example of DeJuan Ellis just having simply too much time. The coverage was good early on the play, but Gilman was just outlasted a little bit too much. Their secondary couldn't hold up with these McDonough receivers for as long as DeJuan Ellis was able to extend that play. Ellis very comfortably sat back in the pocket. He took his time, fired a strike downfield, and McDonough, just simply because of the time that DeJuan Ellis was able to buy them, is able to get a touchdown there.
And the extra point is up and good. It'll turn it back to a 3-point game. And we talked earlier about both of these quarterbacks being very cerebral, being able to use their head and make some great plays. And I saw that middle linebacker blitzing DeJuan Ellis at the very end of that play, but he has the mettle, he has the courage to stand up in that pocket, even with the hurt shoulder, and deliver the deep ball under pressure and make a huge play for the Eagles.
I mentioned earlier that this Gilman defense struggling to get a pass rush, and right there, a key example on a 4th and 7, unable to get any pressure on the quarterback, but still, that was a terrific throw from DeJuan Ellis, fitting it perfectly on that flag route run by Jack Simmons. That was a perfect throw as two defenders were in the area, so he had to put it right on him, and he did. So McDonough converts on 4th down, and now only down 3 in this game as both teams right in it with 9:32 to go.
And McDonough alumni connect and network with each other and keep up to date with the latest school news through McDonough's Alumni Network. Visit McDonough.org for more information.
I don't know what you guys think, but it's getting cold up here.
It is. This is November football at its finest.
So this kick will be down towards the 5-yard line where Brandon Madison will let it bounce, and then he's got it. Madison cutting it back up the middle of the field. Brandon Madison still on his feet on the outside, and Brandon Madison down the sideline has got some extra yardage down close to the 30-yard line. It'll be spotted around the 28 perhaps, and that's where Gilman will set up shop with 9:24 to go.
So an interesting situation right now for this Gilman offense. You've got really two schools of thought. You could run the ball, be conservative, and choose some clock. You do have a 3-point lead in the 4th quarter. But like I've been advocating, I think they got to continue to throw the ball down the field, especially to Piper Bond, and get Brandon Madison in the open field with some situations, as if you give the ball back to the Eagles, I'm not sure they're not going to score.
So Purnell Hill leads this offense. 1st down and 10 for the Greyhounds. Takes the snap, and he hands this ball. Oh, no, he keeps it. And no, he handed the ball off. Excuse me, I faked myself out there. And it is, nevertheless, it'll be a gain of about a yard on the play.
And that's just the fascinating thing about being a middle linebacker. McDonough's got some good ones on this team. And we're up here in the booth. I found the same thing. I was like, okay, he kept it. No, he didn't keep it. No, he kept it. No, he didn't keep it. And the fact that the linebackers can keep track of that ball and make the play on the right man is a skill in and of itself.
It's incredible and takes practice. Maybe I should be practicing. 2nd down, Purnell Hill. He does keep it this time, and he rolls to the far side, throws off his back foot, and it's over the head of the intended receiver, and almost ends up in the hands of another one, and now they're fighting for it on the ground. McDonough says they have an interception. That ball never touched the ground, awaiting an official call here.
That ball from here looked like it did hit the ground, and they will keep it with Gilman. They're saying
they're going to say that's a completed pass.
Oh my goodness, that is going to be a completed ball for Gilman down across the 40-yard line. That ball never hit the ground, overthrew what looked like the intended receiver for Gilman, ended up in the hands of a McDonough player, a Gilman player, bobbling all over the place, and somehow ends up in the arms of a white jersey. I can't explain that one for you. 1st down and 10, Purnell Hill, flanked by running backs. He's going to hand this ball off to Brandon Madison, and Madison pushing forward. He's got a gain of about 5 yards on the play, short of midfield.
Want to go back to that play from Purnell Hill right there. He had P.J. Mustipher right in his face, and I thought he was just going to decide to throw that ball away, but he threw it down the field, overthrew his intended receiver, who I believe was Piper Bond, but was able to somehow complete that pass to Brandon Willis. And I thought that was an interception, as it looked like, especially the McDonough side, thought they had the ball on another turnover, but Willis somehow able to get that ball and get Gilman another 1st down.
Second down and 5. Purnell Hill rolling to the far side, steps up. He's under pressure, and he will be taken down. It'll be a sack in the backfield, a loss of about 3 yards. And third down coming up for Gilman. They're in a little bit of trouble here. Only up by 3. Their lead is diminished, and it's been all sorts of craziness so far in this drive. But they need to temper themselves and find a way to consistently move the ball forward.
Gilman getting no pass protection right now from its offensive line. This McDonough defensive line led by P.J. Mustafer just in the backfield on every play, and Purnell Hill having no time to make any decisions.
Third down and 8 for Gilman. 4 wide and a back to the left of the quarterback, Purnell Hill. 7:25 to play. Purnell Hill back to pass, immediately under pressure, rolling and taken down. McDonough was not going to put up with a pass. They didn't even let him get it off, and it's 4th down and long for Gilman.
And in a situation like that on 3rd and 8, these McDonough pass rushers can just pin their ears back and rush the quarterback. And right there, the Gilman offensive line had no answer, as there were 4 or 5 Eagles in the backfield. Purnell Hill tried to make a play scrambling out to his left, but he was unable to do so. And now Gilman has to give the ball back to McDonough with over 6 minutes to play in this game. And the Eagles have a chance to take the lead.
And so the plot thickens.
And now a little bit of a looping punt. It is fair caught by Giovanni Procaccini at the 27-yard line. Eagles will take back over.
The Eagles will take possession of the
And it's incredibly fitting to have this close of a game in the 4th quarter with these good of 2 teams. They're both showing that they're capable. Whoever wins this game, I mean, these teams are so close in terms of their skill level. It's really unbelievable, and they're proving it right now with this score.
Yeah, this has been a terrific game thus far, and it really has been so even between the 2 teams. You know, we've seen some great offense, some great defense as well, and it's going to be an exciting finish either way.
And I would relate it to a Pittsburgh Steelers-Baltimore Ravens rivalry in the sense that no matter which team seems to have more talent than the other, certainly McDonough thought that they had somewhat of a better skilled team. Once it comes down to this, all bets are off, all emotions are high, and both of these teams play an amazing brand of football. And now DeJuan Ellis is going to take it. He's going to spin out of a tackle and just ran out of options there, and he's tackled far back behind the original line of scrimmage, about a 5-yard loss there.
Zach Dixon making another huge play in this game as DeJuan Ellis spun out of that tackle by Thomas Booker, but Dixon was right there to wrap him up for a 5-yard sack in the backfield, and he has had his hands all over this game.
And Ellis so elusive, really difficult to get him down that far back in the backfield. The Gilman defense finds a way to do it in a spot where they really needed to.
And now, with only a 3-point game, the clock becomes slightly less of a factor, but is certainly still something that you want to be wary of now with the 2nd down and long. Man in the backfield for Ellis, he sends Giovanni in motion. Procaccini, it's a fake to him. He's looking, he doesn't have Curtis Jacobs. Now he's going to try for Jacobs, who's covered on the play, and it is incomplete. That'll bring up 3rd down in a whole long while.
And that was a dangerous throw right there from DeJuan Ellis, as there were a number of Greyhound defenders in the area right there. Luckily that fell incomplete for the Eagles. But like you said, Jack, this brings up a huge 3rd down. But I would have to believe it's 4-down territory if they get positive yardage here.
Certainly, that's a tough call to be made, hopefully, for Eagles supporters, that they can make sure that that's not a decision that has to come up. They've only really had 2 blends of offensive production through the passing game, either a deep pass to Simmons or that slant route to Jacobs. We'll see what they do here. Ellis facing some pressure. He's going to get hit and he's going to go down.
And the ball is on the ground. Or no, excuse me, it wasn't. It looked like it was initially right there, but that was a huge play from the Gilman defensive line, finally getting some pressure on the quarterback, as it looked like Thomas Booker was in on that play along with Zach Dixon, and they're going to force a punt.
And I think the ball actually did come out there for a moment and a half, but McDonough recovered, and they will have the ability to punt this ball here after what could have been a turnover. It's very close, but able to recover. Now they're going to punt it away.
And a big punt here for the Eagles. You've had some special team struggles. This is a massive play to try to pin Gilman into their own territory.
This ball takes a bounce into Gilman territory, fielded by Jones, and Jones taking off down the far sideline. We've got a flag out. May have been a block in the back there.
But there's going to be another flag at the end of that play, so it looked like a late hit.
And now the benches are all coming towards, or at least the McDonough players are meeting a lot of Gilman resistance over there on the far sideline. The bench getting involved a little bit.
Yeah, those should probably, it's a block in the back and probably an unsportsmanlike conduct as one of the Gilman players lost his helmet in that scrimmage out onto the Gilman sideline.
So we'll see where they eventually spot the ball. I just want to bring up, though, we talked about that timeout McDonough took in the third quarter, early in that quarter. That could come back to play a factor in this game as they only have 2 remaining. The clock's still at 5:10, but if Gilman is able to run the ball and get some first downs, McDonough's going to have to spend some of those timeouts at some point.
And in the third quarter that we saw some offensive fireworks, it's back to that defensive gridlock that we've seen for much of the game today in this fourth quarter. So it will be the block in the back against the Greyhounds.
And I think one of the problems that I face personally here, Hap, is that I can just picture right now a run on first down, don't get much, a run on second down, don't get much, and a pass on third down when everyone was expecting it and then having to punt the ball. You have to break from convention, don't you think?
I would have to agree, Julian. The clock's obviously a factor here, but getting the first downs, that's the easiest way to win the game. If they score a touchdown, the game is essentially over. So, again, I'm going to advocate for being aggressive here and throwing the football down the field.
We're waiting for whether or not their sportsmanlike conduct, a personal foul against the Eagles, happened on the sideline.
So that ball, I guess, will be spotted. It looks like at the 45 after both of the penalties.
That they'll mark it to the original and then give them 15 yards for the unsportsmanlike.
That's right, that Gilman huddle just catching up with where the ball was placed. They were all the way back towards the 30. And now they're all lined up and ready to go. Pernell Hill flanked by running backs, one to his left, one to his right, and 3 wide. Slot man over towards the far side of the O-line. Pernell Hill back to pass with time, throws, and this ball is incomplete. And now here come the flags. There's a little bit of contact there, and PI is on its way.
Yeah, I have to agree with that call right there. It looked like the McDonough defender was early on that coverage as he was on his man before the ball got there. That should just be a spot foul, though.
I would agree that in a traditional game, I would probably say that that's a pass interference, but I find that call tough after that one that we saw in the first half.
Yeah.
With that PI in the end zone, the no call that really cost the Eagles 6 points, or at least 3 that they end up losing later in that drive. That's a big penalty there off of that no call early in this game.
It's kind of like the umpire philosophy. If you're going to have a big strike zone, have a big strike zone. Small strike zone, have a small strike zone. Don't alternate.
Right. And it's actually a 15-yard penalty, it looks like, instead of the spot foul like it is in the NFL. So that's an even bigger call. But you're right, Jack. And the way they've been calling this game, they've been letting the receivers and defensive backs fight mostly down the field, at least a little bit of hand fighting. And perhaps that wasn't the best call with the way they've been calling it.
High snap, and Pernell Hill is forced to keep it. He'll be taken down in the backfield back towards the 45-yard line of McDonough. 4:54 to go here in this game, and Pernell Hill now charged with the task of leading this Gilman offense back into possible field goal territory. They're now at the 45. They definitely couldn't make it from there.
And Gilman needs to do a better job on these snap exchanges. I mean, they've fumbled at least one already, and a turnover here would just be devastating, so they have to make sure they get that exchange right.
Hill runs into his running back, and Brandon Madison will be taken down back into Gilman territory. Just a horrible miscommunication where Pernell Hill ran into Brandon Madison, and you talk about an error that you really can't afford. You're up by 3, 4:16 to go here in the fourth quarter. Can't do that if you're the offense.
And it looked like right there, Pernell Hill thought he was going to run to the right, and Madison thought he was going to the left, and they both ran into each other right there. Just, again, lucky to avoid a turnover. And right now, if you're Gilman, I think you just run the ball as you do not want to turn the ball over. And the way they've been handling this drive so far, that's definitely a real risk.
Well, if there are any Maryland fans tuning in right now, I have some very, very bad news. Maryland lost to Rutgers by a score of 31-24.
Yeah, that's tough.
Very. And now we've got some issues going on here with the clock.
I believe the McDonough coaches are wondering about the play clock and whether it ran out on the Greyhounds or whether the referees had wound the clock on that play. That's a tough call.
A very tough call, and now we're going to get whistles. I believe also some time off the actual game clock may have come off when it shouldn't have.
Yeah, they're going to have to take a look at where the clock should be, as definitely some time came off when it shouldn't have. And clearly in a game this tight, every second matters, so they need to make sure they get that right.
I don't think anybody's entirely sure what should be going on right now. There's a lot of confusion. I wasn't watching the clock. You can hear McDonough coaches talking about time that came off the clock. We don't know if they're talking about the play clock or the game clock.
It seemed like there was a longer time in between plays than usual, but for whatever reason, the play clock on either side of the field was not running during that play, or during that huddle. And was there 25 seconds? I think that's what they're trying to determine right now, whether 25 seconds ran off the clock between plays.
Looks like head coach Dan D'Amico right now talking to the head official who's explaining it to him.
Well, I certainly don't know if the clock was running, but I can tell you that it most definitely felt like more than 25 seconds. I think you both could agree there. There was plenty of time.
And they can obviously reset the play clock if they feel like the defenders took too long to get off the player or something like that, but it didn't seem like that was what was going on. So we'll get the official word here from the head referee. And it looks like they're just going to play on as if nothing happened. They'll reset the play clock.
Looks like that is indeed the case. Play clock is running. Game clock is stopped at 3:49. And all of that may have gone for nothing. And now we still have an official communicating with a player. And I think now they've stopped the play clock. And we just really don't know what exactly is going on. You have the McDonough coach on the field. You've got Gilman players communicating with the referees who are also communicating with the Gilman sideline. This McDonough crowd continues to stay loud, but no one knows exactly what should be happening here. I think both sides may have conflicting stories as to what exactly happened, Jack.
Yeah, and I think that's tough if they allow, after whatever time had transpired with the clock running, for them to then reset the game clock and have it go back to 25 seconds. Gilman then had the opportunity to let the clock run off even more, which I think now Gilman is deliberating whether the clock should have started, because it was a tackle for a loss, which would have kept the clock running. No timeout called. So the reset of the 25 seconds, certainly confusion on either sides, and for us, confusion in the press box.
And you have to think about this from the players' perspective, as there was a lot of energy going in this game right now, obviously winding down in the fourth quarter, and now with a long sort of awkward stoppage of play right here. I think that's probably advantage Gilman, as it looked like McDonough was really getting some pressure into the backfield. They had 2 straight negative plays, and so maybe Gilman can regroup now and maybe not get a first down, but at least get some positive yardage here on this play.
And Coach D'Amico was all the way close to the near hash mark, and he's still about halfway to that hash mark. He was not happy with whatever was going on over there on the Gilman sideline. Now he wants an explanation. We have 3 referees going over to talk to him.
And I mean, to that effect, with the time of waiting, you also have the offense and the defense of the offense of McDonough and the defense of Gilman, who have been sitting on the sideline for a while. And can they get the juices flowing on a cold November night for the Eagles to try to have a last-second comeback time?
So I don't think we really accomplished anything there, other than just making sure that what happened was what was supposed to happen. As the game clock stays the same and Gilman is not penalized. 3rd down and very, very long for the Greyhounds. Pernell Hill under center. A heavy set to his left. Pernell Hill hands this ball off to Brandon Madison. Madison busting outside. Madison makes a great move, and Brandon Madison down to the 40-yard line. Back to the initial line of scrimmage, he makes it, and it's 3:38 left on the clock, and Gilman faced with a situation where they will in all likelihood punt the ball. Don't think they're going to go for the field goal.
Yeah, I think you have to punt the ball here if you're Gilman, and they will. McDonough electing to not use a timeout. So they're going to have 2 timeouts and a chance to drive down the field and either tie or win the game. So it's going to be on this Gilman defense to win it for the Greyhounds and on the offense to win it for the Eagles. But you couldn't ask for much more if you're a fan, as this game is coming right down to the wire.
It's going to be a photo finish. Good old-fashioned great football game right here.
Gilman going to let every second tick off of this play clock before they snap the ball.
And now we have a whistle blown.
Oh, delay of game call.
No, but the play clock said 8. Okay. We're trying to figure out exactly what's going on here. We have coaches screaming, we have people upset. When I looked over the game clock, it said 8, and then I looked over the punter, and a moment when I looked back to the game clock, there was still time on it. Then the whistles were blown while there was still time on the play clock, at least on the scoreboard.
I think the coaches are arguing either that the play clock stopped or that the game clock, I'm not sure there, but certainly some heated moments from the McDonough sideline trying to figure out how to keep every second on the clock and what happened in this situation.
Gilman brought in Daniel DeLeon there initially to punt, but now Bryce Bush, who has been punting the entire game, comes back on as we sort out yet another clock situation.
And I'd like to take this opportunity to give a shout out to alumni Sarah Dunleavy, who's tuning into the game from Scotland. So get to call this an international broadcast now.
What time is it there? It's got to be getting late over there.
Yeah. She's a night owl, so it's, I think, a 5-hour time difference or something to that. But dedicated McDonough football. We love to see that spirit. Thank you, Sarah, for tuning in.
Yeah, that's great dedication.
And I'd like to take this moment to remind you that Gilman is accepting applications for the following school year. You should go to gilman.edu/fall visiting for information about coming to Gilman and visiting campus. And right now, I don't think anybody knows exactly what should be going on. I think there's one idea of what the play clock and the game clock did on the McDonough sideline, and then the Gilman sideline almost seems to be sitting over there on the far side saying to themselves, or looking like they're saying to themselves, gosh, I don't know what's going on, but I think we're going to stay out of this one because all the referees are on the near side.
Yeah, I think right now if you're a Gilman player, you're not too upset with this, but if you're a McDonough player, this is just got to be so annoying, as it looked like they were going to get the ball back and they had all the momentum, but right now it looks like the crowd's out of it as everyone's just tired of these officials talking to each other and the coaches about the play clock and the game clock. And I think if you're a player right now, you just want to be playing.
And for a game that had a very quick and incredible pace in the first half, we were looking at the play clock with like 3 minutes left in the first quarter and realizing that the time had gone by so quickly. And this fourth quarter dragging on a little bit, as fourth quarters in close games traditionally do.
And it's not like these last few minutes of this game are going to go by slowly, because there are timeouts, there's clock stoppages. There's going to be a team in this game most likely, considering the upcoming punt in McDonough. McDonough's going to probably stop the clock a lot. So this game's going to continue to drag on. And all these officials and these coaching staffs perhaps are doing right now is continuing to delay the game.
And it looks like 2:52 will be the amount of time on the clock, as utility man Chase Reddish for the Eagles is hustling up to tell the officials what's going on with the play clock. And McDonough student section giving a rousing applause to their junior varsity star.
So 2:52 will be put on the play clock, and McDonough got those vaunted 8 seconds they wanted back, and now they're going to be back. Every second matters in a game like this, no doubt about it.
And like we mentioned, McDonough is still only with 2 timeouts, as they had to burn one early in the third quarter. So if the play clock becomes an issue, we'll have to keep that in mind.
So now here comes the Gilman punt. Bryce Bush standing back to his own 40-yard line with 2:52 now on the clock, and a fresh 25 on the play clock, just to make sure we're all on the same page.
And if I'm Gilman, I'm going to kick the ball out of bounds here, because I'm worried about my players, whether they're ready to go after such a long stoppage of play. I would not want to risk some sort of crazy return here, which is not at all out of the question, I think, with the way this game has been going. So if I'm head coach Tim Holly, I'd tell Bryce Bush, just punt this ball out of bounds and let our defense do its job.
And now Bush is wandering back across his 40, still waiting for this play to commence. And it looks like head coach Mr. Tim Holly of Gilman's having a conversation with the referee. Maybe he's not happy that 8 seconds were added to the clock. Perhaps he feels like they were a bit too lobbied by this McDonough coaching staff.
At this point, I mean, this is the final regular season game for both teams. I am wondering whether the coaches are paid by the hour and therefore are just looking for a little bit more time to get an extra couple bucks on that paycheck.
Well, I'll tell you something. We could have fit a couple of commercials in this time period, so maybe we're the ones losing money. This kick is high in the air, going towards the near side, and it will take a bounce out of bounds, and that's where McDonough will set up shop with 2:45 to go in the rest of this game. Jack Jankowski will have more.
Yeah, and that's an interesting spot there. A high soaring kick now goes out at the 26-yard line.
26-yard line.
And Eagles will have to go a long drive. They only need 3 to tie in this game as the rain starts a little bit in this contest.
Jack, if you're McDonough, though, you've got to be worried about your kicking game right now, as they thought they had a sure field goal earlier in this game from about the 10-yard line, but it went right left. So, to me, if you get down in the red zone, you want to score a touchdown.
And certainly you see the impact of that missed field goal now in the game, as that possession would have made it a tie ball game, and McDonough's instead going for the win as the rain starts to pour, adding another element to this already cold night in Owings Mills.
Just what we needed, right?
Right. I mean, if this didn't feel like classic old school pounded out football, add a little rain, get a little mud into it.
Let's get some NFL Films music in the background.
Exactly. They'll make a documentary about this later.
And I'm starting to be frustrated with these referees and the way this game is being handled right now. It seems like after every play they have to talk for 10 minutes about how much time should be on the clock and what's going on, and it's really taking a fair amount of energy out of this game, as both teams have just had to stand on the sidelines and on the field waiting for play to start. It looks like they are just about set to get going here.
And many thanks to alumni and current and former parents who are participating in McDonough Connect, the school's mentoring, internship, and career resource program. Mentors are providing a competitive edge to our young McDonough alumni by posting jobs and internships and providing professional advice. To become a mentor or a mentee, check out McDonough Connect at McDonough.org.
And Hap, I'm with you here on this one. They're just taking way too much time to get this back underway. It's been at least 15 minutes, 10-15 minutes since we've had our last play, or at least other than the punt. And here we go. We're finally going to be able to get a drive going for McDonough.
And Ellis is going to take it as the crowd gets into full force. Ellis is taking it down to the outside. He is tackled hard. There's going to be a flag, and that looks like it's going to be a personal foul, as he was hit hard going out of bounds on the run.
Definitely a late hit right there by a Gilman defender, and that could be some frustration just maybe at the way this game is going, being taken out right there, as that was way after Ellis had stepped out of bounds. Now,
and
Ellis,
looks
like Simmons telling
right,
the student section to calm down there.
Yeah. I mean, this is maybe the biggest moment in these young men's lives, and their own student section is working against them with that rousing cheer. So, Jack Simmons doing a little crowd control there, as it will be that 15-yard personal foul, late hit on the out of bounds.
So just a penalty Gilman could not afford right there, is obviously, just giving McDonough 15 free yards is not what you need, especially in a situation like this. So now they get it 1st and 10 at the 50-yard line. Plenty of time left in this game with 2:40, and the Gilman defense is going to have to make a stand. And
Ellis was practically motionless when he fell to the ground over on the McDonough sideline. When your teammates see you like that, they get fired up to fight for you, and that's exactly what the Eagles are going to do right here with 2:40 to go.
1st and 10 at the 50-yard line. Juwan Ellis is going to take it. He's looking. He's got time. Now he'll roll out. He's looking. Now he's going to run. He's down at the 45-yard line, and it'll be 2nd down and 5.
And some questionable protection right there, as we hear the Gilman coaches screaming for a holding call. It looked like maybe Gage Kreitz might have gotten held right there, as it looked like his jersey was being held, but no call right there. And that's going to bring up 2nd and 5 now after the quarterback scramble from Ellis. He's been running this entire drive so far, and Gilman's going to have to be able to contain that if they want to stop him.
And back to these inconsistencies, perhaps in officiating. You let guys make contact, you not let guys make contact. You got to pick one at some point.
2nd and 5 now from the 45. And Ellis up to Jabril Johnson. He'll run it on the draw. He's on to the races, and he's down to the 29-yard line, first down and 10.
But there comes the hold.
There's the flag.
And that one looked pretty bad too, as Thomas Booker was grabbed from behind there. And this time they're gonna be forced to call it.
And emotions running high in this last quarter of play between two historic rivals.
Yeah, and that'll back him up there. And, of course, you bring down a guy like Thomas Booker illegally, that can really change the game, especially with a guy like Thomas Booker who is so versatile and talented. So a huge call there against McDonough, and a call they certainly could not afford. But regardless, still, as I said before, plenty of time comparatively on the clock. 2:25 to go until the final whistle, and they're down by 3. Jack, I know you said they're not good at field goals, but getting them into field goal range may just be what they need right now.
Right, and there you can look towards the sidelines and see Grayson Lawrence warming up that leg, making sure he's ready whenever he is called with 2:20 remaining in this game in regulation. Ellis is going to take it. He's going to roll out right. He's looking, pressure, and he will stay on his feet. Now he's taken down. The ball was out for a quick second at the end. We'll see how they call this.
Waiting for an official call. We don't know whose it is. And it's going to stay with McDonough.
Stay with McDonough, yeah. So that's a huge break for the Eagles. DeJuan Ellis extending the play as far as he can. Now you've got third down and forever.
But if you're DeJuan Ellis there, you got to have a bit of a mental clock in your head, as he had been standing in the pocket for 7 or 8 seconds, and at that point, the rush was finally able to get to him. He never threw it away, and it's really tough to take a sack in a situation like this, as McDonough's going to be forced to spend their second timeout of the half. They only have 1 remaining now, and with a 3rd and long, this is certainly a difficult position to be in.
And in this situation in the game, if you're this Gilman defense, you're being forced to track Ellis for an extra 4, 5, 6 seconds in a play as he continues to extend these plays. So this Gilman defense is obviously a little bit winded right now, as anybody would be. And these football players right now, they got to find a way on the Gilman side of the ball to just stay with DeJuan Ellis right there. He had way too much time to throw. And if you're Gilman, you do not want to let that be what comes back to bite you, an extended play for a touchdown.
And I would certainly attribute that one to a coverage sack, as Ellis, again, spent 7 or 8 seconds back there, buying as much time as humanly possible, and even after all that time, could not find an open receiver. They have about 5 or 6 receivers that they use on a day-to-day basis here at McDonough. We've only seen 2 of them truly, with Jack Simmons and Curtis Jacobs. So we'll see if they try to stretch the field to a couple different receivers or go to their hot targets here on a 3rd down and 15 yards.
A little clock update for you. It was 2:02. Now it's 02:02. So not really a difference in the actual meaning, but perhaps there was just an aesthetic complaint.
Keep the symmetry.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It was worth the delay.
Absolutely. 3rd down and 15, 4 wide receivers set for the Eagles. Crowd getting loud, the Gilman sideline. Ellis immediately faces pressure, and he will go down.
Taken down by his arm in the backfield hard.
Darian Lawson right there, making a huge play for Gilman, as he was able to stick with DeJuan Ellis, his arm, and wrestle him down. That is a game-changing play right there from Darian.
And that's a tough play. I mean, if it looks a lot easier when we're up here in the booth, but as DeJuan Ellis, you've got to throw that ball to the sidelines, get it out of bounds, because you save 10 yards by just tossing that ball harmlessly and having a 4th down that's even remotely.
And no penalties, as any sort of penalty right here will give McDonough at least another play. So they have to keep both of those in mind. But right here, this is the game.
And this is going to be tough. I know that the Gilman defense knows that McDonough's going to have to go deep, obviously, but they can't forget that McDonough's going to use the full field. They're not at the point where they just have to go to the sideline. They've got time. McDonough is going to use everything they can. Gilman needs to cover every single spot on this field if they want to come up victorious today.
Pass protection crucial for the Eagles. DeJuan Ellis looking, heaves the Hail Mary. It is incomplete. In and out of the hands of Nathan Walsh, who was the only one who had a chance at it, and the Gilman Gray.
On that ball seemingly stayed in the air forever, but Gilman able to make sure it hits the Pernell Hill under center, running backwards again, trying to take more time off the clock. He is going to take his knee. 44 seconds left to go.
It doesn't look like there will be enough time. An interesting strategy doing that little run back to shave off the extra few seconds, and a fantastic season for the Greyhounds, who will now continue on to the playoffs. The Eagles, their season ends tonight, heartbreaking fashion on that last drive, just not enough to secure a victory, but a great game by both teams. Effort all around, spirit all around by both teams in what was an amazing effort.
And there's the final knee, and the Gilman Greyhounds have defeated McDonough Stadium in Owings Mills as we wind it down to 000 on the clock. And here come the students, here come the players. For the second time in 3 years, the Gilman Greyhounds have won the annual Gilman McDonogh game on the road, avenging a horrible defeat last year. They come back, they win a close game, 24-21, to cap off an absolutely fantastic regular season compared to what they faced last year, Hap.
And just a tremendous effort from this Gilman team. Undoubtedly the underdog coming in, and they come in, execute, get that field goal, which proved to be the difference, and win this game 21 to push their conference record to 3-3. Now, Jack, you said the McDonough season is over. I'm not exactly sure if that's true, because we now have 5 teams in the MIAA with 3-3 records. So we're not sure what the tie-breaking are, and we have no idea who's going to end up in the playoffs and who is not. But it's possible that both of these teams playoffs. So we will see how that all shakes out. But definitely just an exciting way to end the season here today.
I think, yes, I'm reading my sheet now. The McDonough loss today and a Spalding win would knock the Eagles out of the playoffs, so we'll see the
But
Spalding
St. Joe defeated Spalding 16-0. So we do have 3-3 records all across the MIAA with the exception of St. Francis and Loyola, so we will wait to see how that shakes out.
Which would be incredible depending on how the matchups shake out, but a fantastic game here today. Just heart played out by both sides, and can't really complain if you're a spectator. Either side, it's a heartbreaking defeat for the Eagles, but just a fantastic game to watch.
And of course, those 3-3 records all over the place in the MIAA is just a testament to how strong this conference is this year. We've got so many teams that are capable, with the exception of, I believe, Loyola, that really it hasn't strawn it out as they've needed to put it lightly. You've got a lot of 3-3 teams, and that just shows that these are evenly matched teams, and it's sure to be a very fun playoff no matter who gets in there, whether the Eagles do, whether the Greyhounds do, or whether anybody else does. It's going to be a fun one, so we'll see what happens down the stretch as we have the teams lining up to shake hands here over towards midfield. Got a sea of blue and gray that stormed out onto the grass.
And certainly it's a testament, and we are fortunate as spectators to see this go to a playoff system that they just installed this year, able to figure out the hurdles of the Turkey Bowl with Calvert Hall and Loyola, and able to figure out this whole playoff system with all these close teams. So any given Saturday, each team can beat each other, and it makes it a fantastic spectacle.
That's right, as these two teams continue to shake hands down on the field. Once again, a 24-21 victory for the Gilman Greyhounds here on the road. Last year, it was really disastrous for this Gilman team. They couldn't get anything going. We were there, Hap, and of course you were there, Jack. We saw that game down at Gilman. It was just, there was no answer from the Gilman Greyhounds against a very powerful, very talented McDonough team. This year, the Gilman Greyhounds, they come back, they say to McDonough, hey, listen, we haven't forgotten, and they showed that they certainly haven't with this victory here today.
They certainly did. It's just so great for these seniors, especially, who have been, they've been through a tough time over these past 4 years with the way the football program has gone. But to go out with a win like this over their arch rival, certainly a tremendous way to end it.
And in very timely fashion, the rain is really starting to pick up now as it's starting to come down in visible raindrops. So we'll see how much longer people actually stay out on the field. You would have to think that they're going to stay out pretty long regardless of the weather.
Yeah, this is a momentous occasion for Gilman. You talk about last year's game, and it almost has a Houston Astros kind of feel in the sense that this team went from a really, really bad loss, and many people expecting that a similar result was going to happen in this game due to the additions that McDonough had made, and a similar result may be expected by some. And in the end, these looked like completely even teams. And you look at McDonough and you look at why they lost, and you say a couple bounces here and there of the ball, a couple calls, a couple plays, some special teams miscues, some special teams amazing plays made by Gilman, and it's a little bit of this way the ball bounces. And credit both teams for putting their heart and soul out of the game, and it looked like Gilman just had that much more to give.
Both these teams hard fought all day. We saw spectacular running from Johnson, from Madison, from both quarterbacks. Well, really, the running from the quarterback position came from DeJuan Ellis, but there was superb passing from both. Pernell Hill with great leadership. He's been doing that since last year when he was a junior. He has always found ways to lead his team like he's a seasoned veteran.
He is certainly the leader of this Gilman team, the captain. He's out there at every coin toss leading this team in the locker room as well, and he really did a nice job today of rallying the troops, even these tough situations, leading them down on big drives, and he got the win in his senior Gilman McDonogh game.
And with that, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap things up here, but I want to thank all of you for tuning in. Once again, I'm Julian Barron along